Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. What if Naruto had the Mewtwo's bloodline? Movie. 5-year-old Naruto panted as he leaned against an alley wall. He had blood running down his arm from the kunai stuck in his shoulder, a present he had received from the nice villagers that were hunting him down to wish him a happy birthday. You see, 5 years ago, Kura, the Kyuubi no Kitsune, had been ripped out of his mom, Kushina Uzumaki, by a man calling himself Madara Uchiha. He had used a pair of Sharingan eyes to control Kura and force her to attack the village, before the 4th Hokage sealed her into him, the bastard. He had briefly met Kura the year before after an attack on his birthday. Of course, Ho only learned her name before the 4th Hokage's seal activated when Naruto touched the seal, which allowed him to meet his dad. He also met his mom, who was trapped in the seal like Kura. His dad had forced him out of the seal, saying that it wasn't time yet. Within the seal, "Damn this seal," Kura said, pushing, trying to tinker with it from the inside, while Kushina, who was chained to the wall, watched. "Why do you care so much about my son?" she asked, looking at the Demon Queen. After Naruto's brief entrance the year before, Kushina and Kura had done a lot of talking, more than when she was sealed inside her. "Because with you trapped in here with me, someone's got to worry about him, even though the only thing I can do right now is heal him," she said, still looking over the seal, trying to change in so that she can do more for Naruto. Add a counterclockwise seal over the original seal. It should counteract the seal for the most part and allow you to use your power for more than just healing him, she said, getting a confused look from Kura. "I never wanted Naruto's life to turn out like this, and I never thought Minato would try to turn our son into a weapon, and since I'm the one who created the seal, I figure I might as well help get back at the bastard that sealed us in here," she smirked. With a small nod, Kura placed the reverse seal over the seal before feeling more of her powers return. With a fox-like smirk on her face, she pushed her power out, creating a portal for Naruto to leave the hell hole he called a village. Outside Mindscape, as Naruto was preparing to run, hearing the mob he thought he lost quickly approaching, he stopped and stared as a blue swirling portal appeared next to him. Quickly looking between the portal and the mob that was approaching, with the shinobi throwing kunai and shuriken at him, Naruto jumped into the portal, reasoning that wherever it took him was better than Konoha. Just before he entered the portal, a few more kunai struck his back, causing him to black out from the pain as his body fall into the swirling vortex, which closed upon his entry. Mindscape. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and smiled, seeing that he was back in his mindscape. He had been trying to return all year, but something was blocking him. Suddenly, a pained cry caught his attention. Turning towards the noise, Naruto saw a hilarious sight: his mom, who was released from the chains, holding her to the wall, kicking his dad's ass, while Kura watched with a smirk on her face. "Hey Kura, what's going on?" he asked, walking over to the cage holding Kura, gaining the attention of the three. Kushina smiled and waved at him before going back to the beating in order to stop his dad from talking. "Well kid, thanks to your mom, I was able to place a seal over the one holding me, which cancelled the part of it holding my powers, and your mom, which allowed me to open a portal to a different dimension," she smiled, getting wide eyes from Naruto and Minato. "So that portal was your doing?" he asked, getting a nod from the Demon Queen. "Thank you Kura, you're the best," he said, slipping through the bars and hugging the Queen of Demons. "I'm glad you're happy kid. Of course there is a small change that's happening to your body," she said, getting a curious look from Naruto and Kushina, who had finished beating Minato, destroying him. "Since humans aren't capable of traveling dimensions, so my aura is turning you into a half-demon," she said, getting confused looks from the two. "Aura? Don't you mean chakra?" Kushina asked, looking at Kura. "No, I mean aura. Aura is the power that you shinobi use for your jutsu and stuff, however for some strange reason, you decided to call it chakra instead of aura," she said, shrugging. "Anyways, my aura is changing you into a hanyo, or half-demon. Basically, it's increasing your senses, your physical strength and speed, and your original aura levels, which were already higher than a normal human's." Naruto grinned at this. He was going to be badass. "So do you know where we're going?" he asked excitedly with stars in his eye. "Yes, actually, we just entered the new dimension," she said, closing her eyes as the information about this dimension entered her mind. One of the many perks of being the Demon Queen: instant knowledge of the world and its entire history. The dimension is full of creatures known as Pokémon, who use aura in a similar way that the people of your dimension did, just without the hand signs. There are apparently many different types and species of Pokémon all around the world, and human, once they reach a certain age, are able to go out and capture these Pokémon in things called Pokéballs, which are like storage seals back in your dimension. Both Naruto and Kushina widened their eyes at this. Humans then use the Pokémon they capture to battle in competitions known as the Pokémon League and in contests which show of a Pokémon's power and beauty. There are also other fields and classes of jobs involving Pokémon, such as breeders, who help raise and hatch Pokémon eggs, musicians, who use Pokémon to play music, watchers, how sketch and observe Pokémon, professors, who study Pokémon and how they live, and many others. I'm going to be the best in all of the field, Naruto declared with fire in his eyes. Very well, then I will teach you everything I have learnt. I will also teach you everything I know about aura, Kura said, getting a wide grin from Naruto. However, you might want to wake up. No, the woman who found you is starting to get worried, she said, getting a nod from Naruto before he vanished. Outside Mindscape, Naruto slowly opened his eyes and glanced around the room, noticing he was in a hospital room with a nurse looking at a clipboard. Oh, you're awake, how are you feeling? The nurse asked with a small smile once she noticed Naruto. Where am I? He asked, looking around the white room before looking out the window and seeing what he assumed were Pokémon, since he had never seen birds like them fly by the window. You're in Pallet Town. You were found passed out on the road covered in blood, she said, checking his pulse and vital signs. The people who brought you here are outside waiting if you would like to meet them, she said, getting a nod from Naruto before she left the room. A few minutes later, the door opened and Naruto, who was standing up and stretching, turned to face the door. Standing in the door was a 5-year-old girl with short black hair and black eyes. She was wearing a pair of blue jeans and a pink t-shirt. Standing behind her was a woman with brown hair that went to her shoulder blades and brown eyes. She was wearing a blue skirt and yellow shirt and a pink blouse which held together by a single button. Both of them, along with the nurse, were staring at Naruto with wide eyes. The reason? He had been in a coma for 2 months. Are you the ones who found me? He asked the two, who simply nodded, still stunned that he was up. Well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I wanted to thank you for helping me. Oh, it was no trouble at all, the woman said with a small smile. By the way, my name is Delia Ketchum, and this is my daughter Ashley, she said, patting the girl on the head. Well, thank you both, he smiled, bowing to them before looking around. Do you know where my clothes are? I threw them away, Delia said, pulling out a bag from behind her back along with some papers. I got you some new clothes and these forms, if you're all right with it. All we need is your name, she smiled, handing him the bag and papers. Naruto looked into the bag and found a pair of jeans, a black shirt and a pair of orange shoes. The papers, however, were what surprised him. They were adoption papers and were already filled out. The only thing missing was his name. Are you serious? He stuttered out, looking at Delia, who had a warm smile on her face as she nodded. While you were in a coma we attempted to find your family, but since you weren't registered anywhere I decided to adopt you. If you're all right with that, she smiled as Naruto teared up, before hugging her. With a small smile on her face the nurse left the room, which Naruto noticed, and with a quick word with Kura, decided to tell Delia about himself before signing the paper. Over the next hour, Naruto told both Delia and Ashley, who, by the end of his story, were hugging him as all three cried. Time skip. Naruto rushed through the forest surrounding Pallet Town, heading in the direction that he had sensed a large source of aura. It had been 3 years since the Ketchums had adopted him and Naruto couldn't be happier. He now had a family that loved him, even if he was a Hanyo. He had even begun training in how to use aura, along with Ashley, who had a large reserve of aura as well. Thanks to all of the training he had received from Kura and his mom, Naruto was now a high genin according to his mom anyways. Naruto had changed a little over the last 3 years. His hair was still as spiky as ever, however it had gone from blonde to a russet red thanks to him becoming a Hanyo, and his eyes, while still blue, had slits for pupils. He was wearing a pair of blue jeans and a dark orange muscle shirt, which showed of his muscle, and a pair of black shoes with orange strips. After a few more minutes of tree hopping, Naruto came upon a sight that made him mad. a flock of Spearow were picking on what appeared to be a Riolu. However, instead of being black and blue like a normal one, it was black and gold with red eyes that were looking at him pleadingly. "Hey, leave her alone," Naruto yelled, jumping out of the trees, gaining the attention of the Spearow, who began attacking him. With speed that was far faster than any human should have, Naruto knocked all of the Spearow out with a combination of agility to increase his speed, or a sphere to knock out the ones that were out of his reach, and quick paw, the fighting style Kura taught him. Once all of the Spearow were out, Naruto checked to make sure the Riolu was alive before capturing her in an empty Pokeball he stole from Professor Oak, and heading back to the professor's lab. Half an hour later, Naruto was leaning against the wall in the professor's lab waiting on news on the Riolu's condition. "So how is she, old man?" Naruto asked as Oak walked over to him with the Riolu's Pokeball in hand before handing it to him. "Riolu's going to be just fine," he smiled before getting a disapproving look on his face. "Though I'm not happy that you stole a Pokeball from me." All he got was a deadpanned look from the Hanyo. A week after Naruto was adopted into the Ketchum family, he was introduced to Professor Oak, who was Delia's teacher. Sensing that the man could be trusted, Naruto told him everything, and the man had agreed to teach Naruto everything he knew, even agreed to get a few of his colleagues to help him out. Over the 3 years, Naruto had met a lot of people, all of whom had helped him over the years. First was Professor Elm, from the Johto region, who helped Naruto study the breeding patterns and interactions between Pokémon. After that was Professor Birch, from the Hoenn region, who helped him study the Pokémon habitats in correlation with human existences. Professor Rowan from the Sinnoh region was next. He helped him study the Pokémon evolutionary patterns. Followed by Professor Araya Juniper from the Unova region, who helped him study Pokémon origins in relation to mythology. He also met other people such as Professor Ivy, who helped him study Pokémon behavior, Kurt, who taught him how to make Pokeballs, Johanna, a friend of Delia's from Sinnoh and a champion Pokémon coordinator, to taught him about Pokémon contests, Cynthia, who taught him about the myths of the Pokémon world and was someone Naruto declared he would marry when he became a Pokémon trainer, and Pyramid King Brandon, who taught him about archaeology. "Sorry, old man, but when I sensed her using aura, I grabbed a Pokeball and ran. I wasn't even thinking when I did it," he said, rubbing the back of his head sheepishly. "Well, as long as you take care of this Riolu, I'll forget it this one time," he said, getting a nod from Naruto before he ran off to get better acquainted with his first Pokémon. Time skip. The sun was slowly rising over the town of Pallet, and within the home of the Ketchum family everything was hectic as 13-year-old Ashley Ketchum ran out of the house in a pair of green and yellow pajama pants and shirt. The reason she was running: she was late to get her first Pokémon. At the sight of his sister, girlfriend, running out of the house in her pajamas, Naruto was on the ground laughing his ass off along with his Lucario, Luca. "Oh man, I can't believe she forgot that today she was supposed to get her first Pokémon," Naruto laughed, holding his sides. Over the past 5 years since saving Luca, Naruto had changed very little. His hair now reached the middle of his back and his eyes had taken on a reddish tint to them. He was currently wearing a pair of jeans, a black t-shirt, and black jacket with the kanji for Hardcore Hanyos on the back, which was the name of the band he had made with his Pokémon. After catching Riolu, Naruto had redoubled his training and learning with everyone. He had even captures of 3 more Pokémon while visiting his teachers. While visiting Kurt, he had captured a Tyrogue who evolved into a Hitmonlee, who he named Ty Lee. During a trip to visit Birch, he had found 2 eggs which hatched into Ralts and later evolved, one into a Gardevoir, who went by Asami, the other into a Gallade, who went by Sadao and was his only male Pokémon so far. "I told her she needed to go to sleep but she wouldn't listen to me," Luca said, laughing. While Naruto was studying about Pokémon, Luca and his other Pokémon were learning to speak like humans, which took them all about a year, which gave Naruto the idea to start a band with them, the Hardcore Hanyos. The band was actually pretty famous in the Every region, seeing as they were asked to play by Cynthia after a battle she had with Steven Stone. They were also asked to play by the president of the Pokémon League at the Pokémon League a little over a month ago. "You two shouldn't laugh at her," Delia said, walking downstairs with a green backpack for Ashley. "Besides, don't you need to be heading out too?" Naruto nodded his head and recalled Luca into her Pokeball, before grabbing his bag and guitar. kissing Delia on the cheek and heading out the door in the opposite direction Ashley headed. "And don't forget to keep an eye on your sister should she catch up to you," she yelled after him, getting a wave from him as he walked off. "Well, this is it," Naruto said, standing in front of a sign that said Route 1, all of his Pokémon standing next to him. "Let's show the world what Naruto Ketchum Uzumaki is capable of." His team nodded their heads as they headed off to begin their Pokémon journey. Naruto sighed as he rubbed Ashley's back as they stood in the Viridian City Pokémon Center. The reason she was crying about her hurt Pikachu, the Pokémon she got from Old Man Oak. Flashback. Naruto grinned as he wrote down his thoughts for a new song as he sat in the lobby of the Pokémon Center. The sun outside was slowly setting. He had arrived a few hours ago and was glad that the center was almost empty. It meant he had to sign less autographs, like the one he had to sign for the Nurse Joy running the center. The other reason he was glad was because of some of the Pokémon he had caught on the way to town. The first was a Trico with a bad attitude. The second, however, was a Suicune pup with a sprained ankle. He had also caught a few Nidoran, 1 male and 3 female, a Mareep, 3 Eevees, a Mankey, a Spearow and a pack of Puccina, about 7. Since the Trico and Suicune pup filled up his party to 6, the others were sent to Oak's lab. He had called Oak once he reached the center and swapped out Ty Lee, Asami, and Sadao for one of the Eevee, the Mankey and the Mareep, before having all of them looked at by Nurse Joy. Once his Pokémon were fully healed, his new Suicune getting a cast for her leg, Naruto decided to hang in the center for the night. With the sun setting and the start of his new lyrics done, Naruto stood up to ask Nurse Joy for a room for the night, when a motorcycle belonging to Officer Jenny burst through the front door with Ashley, much to Naruto's surprise, in the side cart. "Ashley, what the hell happened?" Naruto asked, running over as a Chansey pushed out a stretcher and they placed Pikachu on it. "We were attacked by a flock of Spearow, then it started raining and Pikachu used a thunder shock, which caused a lightning bolt to strike her," she said, looking at the doors Pikachu and Joy went through, tears in her eyes before she wrapped her arms around Naruto and buried her face in his chest. Flashback end. "Come on, Ash, it'll be all right, you'll see," he said soothingly, using the nickname he gave her, which always pissed her off. "Why don't we call home? I bet Mom would be happy to hear from us," she nodded as they headed towards the phone. "Hello, Ketchum residence," Delia said with a smile as she answered the phone, her hair still wet, indicating she had just gotten out of the shower. "Mom, your hair's still in the towel," Naruto said, leaning over Ashley's shoulder with a smile. "Oh, Ashley, Naruto, it's so good to hear from you," she said, throwing the towel away with a smile. "Where are you two?" "Viridian," Ashley said, sounding depressed, which Delia picked up immediately. After getting Ashley to cheer up a little, Delia delivered a message to Naruto for him to call Cynthia, which sounded important. "Hello, this is Cynthia," she said, appearing on the screen with a smile, before realizing that it's Naruto. "Oh Naruto, it's good to see you." "Hey Cynthia, how's it going?" he asked with a fox-like smirk. "Oh, the usual, accepting battles to keep my title as champion, chasing down new myths and legends," she shrugged as if it happened every day, which it pretty much did. "Anyways, that's not the reason I called you. I have recently come into possession of a Zorua egg from a friend. It hasn't hatched yet, but if you are still interested in transferring your mom into a Zorua, now may be your only chance." "Thanks Cynthia, you're the best," he said with a grin. "When can you get here?" "I can meet you in Cerulean City in a month," she said, getting a nod from him. "All right, I'll see you in a month," he said, smiling before hanging up, only to hear someone yelling. What happened to my bike, you little runt? This is all that's left after you stole it to save your Pokémon," an orange-haired girl yelled at Ashley, getting a raised eyebrow from Naruto. "Yo, is there a problem here?" Naruto asked, walking over to the two. "Yes, but it doesn't concern you," the girl said, looking at him and pausing at the sight of Naruto Uzumaki Ketchum, one of the biggest rock stars in the Kanto region. "Why, you're Naruto Uzumaki, the leader of Hardcore Hanyos, can I have your autograph?" she asked, holding a pen and his first CD. "Sure, once you tell me why you're yelling," he said, looking her in the eye. "Well, you see, this girl stole and destroyed my bike," the orange-haired girl said, pointing from Ashley to the black remains of her bike. "The reason I'm yelling is because I want her to pay me back for my bike." Naruto glanced over at his sister, waiting to hear why she stole the bike. "Well, I was running from the Spearow, and say the bike," so I hopped on in order to save Pikachu, she said, rubbing the back of her head sheepishly. Sigh. How much did the bike cost? Naruto asked, pulling out his wallet, confusing the orange-haired girl. Look, unless you follow her around for who knows how long, and remind her every so often, you're never going to be paid back for your bike. Trust me, my sister's an airhead. Hey, Naruto smirked at his sister's outcry. Did you say sister? The orange-haired girl asked, looking between the two. Yeah, sigh. Look, my sister needed it to save her Pikachu, so I'll pay for your bike and we can forget this ever happened. Both girls simply stared at him. I'll just stick to following her around until she pays me back. It'll be nice having someone to travel with, the girl said, blushing a little. By the way, I never introduced myself. My name's Misty, I'm a water Pokemon trainer. Nice to meet you. The name's Naruto, and you've already met Ashley. He nodded his head in his sister's direction before handing the girl her CD, which he signed for her. Suddenly the emergency sign shut off and Nurse Joy walked out with Pikachu, who appeared to be fine. How's Pikachu? Ashley asked, walking over to his Pokemon. She's going to be just fine. You're lucky you got her here when you did, Joy said with a kind smile, getting a sigh of relief from the girl. Well, that's good at least. Naruto smiled before two smoke bombs crashed through the skylight, followed by two Pokeballs. What the hell is going on? Ha ha ha. The herd as the smoke cleared to reveal to people and their Pokemon. Prepare for trouble, and make it double, they said, getting a face palm from Naruto. To protect the world from devastation. To unite all peoples within our nation. To denounce the evils of truth and love. To extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse, said a woman with long red hair. James, the man with blue hair. Team Rocket blasts off at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepare to fight. Meowth. That's right, said a talking Meowth, causing Naruto and Ashley to blink, since they, though Naruto's Pokemon, were the only ones able to talk. Who the hell are you two? Naruto asked, looking at them with a raised eyebrow. We're Team Rocket, Meowth, said the cat Pokemon. We're here to swipe all of the valuable Pokemon, it smirked. That's right, so just hand over all of your Pokemon and no one gets hurt, Jesse said with a smirk. Yeah, let's nod and say we did, Naruto smirked, grabbing one of his Pokeballs. Now I need all of you to keep this a secret. Don't want everyone and their dogs to know I have her. He tossed the Pokeball into the air, releasing Suicune, shocking everyone except Joy. What type of Pokemon is that? Ashley asked, holding up her Pokédex. No data available, the Pokédex said. Sorry sis, but you aren't going to find any data on this girl in the Pokédex you got, Naruto smirked, glancing at her before turning to face Team Rocket. Alright Suicune, let's send these losers flying, sheer cold. Suicune opened her mouth, her eyes glowing icy blue, before firing a blast of cold wind at the two and their Pokemon, freezing them solid, along with the entire entrance to the Pokemon Center, before they went flying. Well damn, that's a lot more power than I thought, Naruto smirked, petting the pup, as she limped over to him. That was really good, Aurora. Thank you Naruto, she said, rubbing her head against her trainer's hand in a loving way. After recalling Suicune, and waiting for Pikachu to wake up, which didn't take long, the three headed out, since the sun was rising, towards Pewter City. Ahahaha, Misty screamed for what seemed like the 100th time that day since they had entered the Viridian Forest. Will you please stop screaming? Naruto yelled, rubbing his sensitive ears. Damn, if you hated bugs so much, why didn't you say so before we entered the forest? We could have gone around instead of through it. I didn't know the forest was full of bugs, she said, clinging to Ashley's back. Oh wow, a Caterpie, Ashley said, dumping Misty on her butt and running over to the bug Pokemon. You should catch it, Ash, it'll help you catch up to me, he smirked at her irritated face before he began walking off. Hey, where are you going? Misty asked nervously. I'm going to train and catch a few bug Pokemon, he said, looking over his shoulder. I'll meet both of you in Pewter City in about a week, have fun. He jumped into a tree and began to run into the depth of the Viridian Forest. Where do you think your brother is? Misty asked as she sat in the Pewter City Pokemon Center with Ashley and the ex-gym leader Brock, who had decided to join them on their journey after giving Ashley a gym badge. I don't know, but he always does this. He'll go off into the woods for days on end before resurfacing, so I'm not really worried, Ashley said, still admiring her first badge. Now that's just mean, a voice said from behind the three, causing Ashley to freeze up. And I thought we had something special between us. The three turned around to see Naruto with a smirk, even though he was shirtless, causing every woman in the center to blush. What happened to your shirt? Misty stuttered as her face glowed like a Christmas light. Oh, that, I lost it catching one of my latest Pokémon, he smirked, causing Misty to faint, along with every other girl in the center. What Pokémon did you catch? Ashley asked with stars in her eyes. While Naruto was her biggest rival next to Gary, he was still her brother. You tell me what Pokémon you caught and I'll tell you what I caught, he said, leading her over to the phone. Well, I caught the Caterpie, which evolved into Butterfree, then I caught a Pidgeotto, she said, holding up the 2 Pokeballs. Whistle, that's impressive, he said, turning on the phone and dialing Oak's number. I caught a few new Pokémon myself, a swarm of Beedrill and Butterfree, about 5 Scyther, 2 Heracross, 6 Venonat, a Pinsir. Ashley's mouth fell open at the number of Pokémon her brother caught while in the forest, before Professor Oak appeared on the screen. Ah, Naruto, I was wondering when you would call, wanting to switch out your Pokémon. Oak asked with a smile. Yeah, since Primeape, Sceptile, Ampharos, and Espeon are fully evolved, I would send them to you along with Aurora and work with some of my newer catches. Ashley's eyes widened again. She knew her brother was good, but to get all 4 of the Pokémon he had caught a few hours after leaving Pallet to fully evolve in 1 week, it was incredible. So which do you want? You sent me quite a few, Oak chuckled. I'll take Kura, one of the female Nidoran, and Magikarp, he said, placing all but Luca's Pokeball onto the transporter and sending them to Oak. I figure Kura would like to get out, and that leaves room on my team for the 2 eggs I got, he smirked, pulling out the 2 eggs, one was white with silver wings and the other was bright pink. Where do you get those? Brock asked, looking at the 2 eggs with wide eyes, which were mirrored by Oak, Ashley, and Misty, who had woken up and joined them a few minutes ago. That's a secret, Naruto smirked, putting the eggs back in his backpack and grabbing the 3 Pokeballs Oak had sent him. Holding out one of the Pokeballs, everyone gasped as a red aura surrounded the ball before it opened, releasing a ferial-looking Vulpix. Hey Kura, how ya feeling? He asked, bending down towards the Vulpix. Aside from missing my 3 of my tails missing in this form, I'm fine, she said, shocking everyone again. Well then, I'm glad I found this for you. Naruto pulled out a red stone and held it out towards her. Are you really Kura? Ashley asked, looking at the fox Pokémon, who looked at Ashley before returning her attention to the red stone. Yes, I am, she said, putting a paw on the stone, which caused her to glow and evolve. Once the light died down, instead of a Vulpix, there stood a blood-red Ninetales with long ears. Ah, it's good to be able to stretch my leg, she said, stretching her legs out before looking around. How are you? Ashley stopped as Naruto slapped his hand over his sister's mouth with a glare. That is not your concern right now, he said, his eyes turning red. But if you really want to know, I'll tell you after my gym battle, he said, walking out of the center with Kura beside him, followed by Ashley, Brock, Misty, and everyone else who was in the center and recognized him. Yo, I'm here to challenge the Pewter City Gym for a badge, Naruto yelled as he entered the gym, followed by everyone who was following him. Very well then, I accept your challenge, said a man he assumed was the gym leader, and who looked like an older Brock. My name's Flint, and this will be a 2-on-2 Pokémon battle, any objections? Not really, let's just get this over with, Naruto said as Kura walked onto the field. I have to be in Cerulean by the end of the month, and if I'm not, I'm screwed. Girlfriend? Flint asked, grabbing a Pokeball, before tossing it and releasing a Graveler. Manager, Naruto said, causing everyone but Ashley to face fault. Let's wrap this up fast, Kura, we have to be in Cerulean by the end of the month in order to meet Cynthia. Alright, this is a 2-on-2 Pokemon battle between the gym leader Flint and the challenger Naruto Uzumaki Ketchum of Pallet Town. All of the girls in the railing over here screamed and cheered. Only the challenger is allowed to switch Pokemon during the battle, so let the match begin. Sorry Flint, but like I said, I got to get to Cerulean and fast, so I'm going to end this. Kura used Flamethrower. Kura opened her mouth and shot a jet of flames at the Graveler, sending it into the wall and knocking it out. The first match goes to the challenger, Naruto. Brock said, stunned. You may have beaten my first Pokémon, but there's no way you'll beat my second one, Flint said, releasing a Rhyhorn, which met the same fate as the Graveler. Impossible. Flint fell to his knees in shock. His first challenge as gym leader and he lost both his Pokémon to one fire type. The winner is Naruto, Brock said, stunned as well. He had never seen a battle end so quickly. Sorry about that, Naruto said, walking over to Flint. But like I said, I only have until the end of the month or else I'm screwed. Flint nodded in understanding as he handed Naruto the badge. Thanks, I really am sorry. Naruto stopped at the door. Oh, and Ashley, if you want to find out about Kura, meet me in Cerulean in 1 month. He smirked at seeing her eye twitch before running out the door, followed closely by the scariest thing on earth, fangirls. It was a bright warm day in Cerulean City. The sun was shining brightly, people were walking and shopping, and cheering could be heard coming from the Cerulean City Pokémon contest building. Standing on the center stage of the arena stood a boy with long spiky hair. He was wearing a pair of blue jeans and a blood-red muscle shirt, causing all of the women in the audience to cheer louder at the sight of him. In his hands was a red guitar which he slowly strummed. All right, Luca, let's show them what we can do, the boy said, tossing up a Pokeball, which opened to release a black and gold Lucario, who was surrounded by musical notes. Time to put on a show, he said before beginning to play. Play Headstrong by Trapped. Circling your head. Contemplating everything you ever said. Now I see the truth, I got doubt. A different motive in your eyes and now I'm out. See you later. As the boy began to play, Luca began bobbing her head, her eyes closed before they snapped open and she jumped into the air, spinning like a top. As a blue ball of energy gathered in her left hand while a black ball gathered in her right, before she began a rapid fire barrage of Shadow Ball and Aura Sphere, before she landed in a crouch. I see your fantasy, you want to make it a reality paved in gold. See inside of our heads, yeah. Well, now that's over. I see your motives inside, decisions to hide. Luca created a bone-shaped staff of energy and began going through a complex series of stances, which looked like a dance to people who didn't know about the style. Censored. Back off, I'll take you on. Headstrong to take on anyone. I know that you are wrong. Headstrong, we're headstrong. The crowd watched and cheered as Luca flowed along with the rhythm of the music, never missing a beat. Back off, I'll take you on. Headstrong to take on anyone. I know that you are wrong and this is not where you belong. The energy bone vanished as Luca jumped back and began using agility to run and move around the arena, leaving multiple after images, shocking the crowd at her speed. I can't give everything away. I won't give everything away. Conclusions manifest. Your first impressions got to be your very best. I see you're full of shit, and that's alright. That's how you play, I guess you'll get through every night. Well, now that's over. Luca stopped in the center of the arena, surrounded by almost 30 after images, before she used Shadow Claw, and began spinning, destroying all of the after images. I see your fantasy, you want to make it a reality paved in gold. See inside of our heads, yeah. Well, now that's over. I see your motives inside, decisions to hide. Once she was done spinning, Luca bowed to the audience before doing back flips over to the boy as he finished up the song. I know all about your motives inside, and your decision to hide. The crowd was silent as the song came to an end, and the boy and Luca both gave a small bow, before the crowd erupted into cheers, all screaming for an encore. That was amazing, wasn't it, folks? Yelled Lillian into her mic, as the boy and Luca took another bow. Let's hear what our judges have to say. It was a splendid performance. The way Luca moved to the beat of the music, simply amazing, said Mr. Contesta. Truly remarkable, said Mr. Sukizo. The way Luca moved showed that she was well trained and well cared for. It was like she was dancing to the music, said the Nurse Joy of Cerulean. You heard it, folks. Let's give another round of applause to Luca and Naruto. The crowd erupted into cheers, getting a smile from Naruto as he walked back to the waiting area for the contestants. It had been a month since Naruto had obtained his first gym badge in Pewter City, then was chased out of town by rabid fangirls. After leaving Pewter, Naruto traveled through Mt. Moon, capturing a few Sandshrew and Zubat. He even managed to capture a pair of Clefairy. He also spent a week digging in the tunnel, which enabled him to find a few moonstones, 3 old ambers, 4 helix fossil and 6 dome fossil. After leaving Mt. Moon, Naruto headed for the famous Cerulean Cave, where he watched, sketched, and captured a few of the different Pokémon. He also captured a Lugia and Mew, when the 2 eggs he had hatched, surprising him. "That was a beautiful performance," said a voice as he entered the waiting room. Looking over, Naruto grinned as Cynthia, Ashley, Misty, Brock and Kura walked over to him, with a Zorua onto of Kura's head. "Thanks Cynthia," Naruto said, walking over to her and kissing her, before the Zorua jumped into his arms. After a week in the Cerulean Caves, Naruto headed into town where he met up with Cynthia, who had brought him a Zorua egg for his mom. The egg was said to have been unhealthy and the people who were raising it until it hatched were about to throw it out when Cynthia appeared and took the egg. While it wouldn't hatch on its own, it would with a new soul inside it. Once Kushina was inside the egg, it hatched to reveal a health Kushina. 3 days after Kushina hatched, Ashley and her friends arrived, and Naruto kept his promise about explaining things to Ashley, also revealing a few things to Brock and Misty. "Yeah, that was awesome. We get a live concert and we get to watch a Pokemon contest. This is the best," Misty said with excitedly. "So was that one of your new songs?" Ashley asked, looking at Luca, who nodded her head. "Yes, we came up with it inside the Cerulean Cave, while practicing for the contest. Then he did a practice play when getting the Cascade badge." Luca shook her head while glancing over at Naruto. "I think he made fangirls out of his fellow stars at the Cerulean Gym." "Oh no, those 3 were already huge fangirls of his," Misty said, leaving out the fact that she was also a fangirl and tried to brag that she got his autograph, only to find they each got a personal picture with him, each with them kissing him on the cheek. "Well, you can't blame them. People love music and the fact that he's also a Pokemon trainer, coordinator, breeder, researcher, watcher and connoisseur, among other things. You would expect him to have a lot of fans and followers," Brock said calmly, before appearing before Naruto bowing. "Please teach me, master," he said, causing everyone to sweat drop. "Yes, well," ignoring Brock's craziness for now, Brock was in a corner with a dark cloud hanging over his head. "You have to remember that I was only playing the part meant for the lead guitar. That wasn't including the rest of the band," Naruto said, getting nods from them. "It was still a great performance," Kushina said, having moved onto his head, since his hair was so soft, like fur. "She's right, but what are you going to do for the next round?" Kura asked, looking over at the screen, showing that he was one of the 4 finalists, and he was in the first match. "I guess we go out there and win," Naruto and Luca said in unison, causing Kushina to giggle at that. He only 13 going on 14 and he was already thinking in sync with his girls. "Alright ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the wait, now let's get ready for the round. Lillian yelled, get a cheer from the crowd. First we have Alex from Celadon City, a boy with dark brown hair raised his hand in victory. And next we have the famous Naruto Ketchum from Pallet Town. The crowd went crazy as Naruto waved with a small smirk on his face, causing all of the women in the stand to begin drooling. "There are 30 seconds on the clock, and begin. Let's go Scyther," Alex yelled, throwing a Pokeball and releasing his Scyther onto the field. "Let's rock this show," Naruto said, releasing Luca, who had a smirk on her face. "Let's start things off. Bone Rush." Luca created a bone made of energy and rushed at the Scyther. "Counter it with Slash," Alex said, as Scyther and Luca began engaging in a fierce battle. "Luca, use Blaze Kick." Luca pushed Scyther a few feet away from her as flames covered her foot, before she shot at the bug Pokemon, before flipping onto her hands and lashing out at it while spinning, landing multiple hits before knocking Scyther out. Scyther is unable to battle. "That means that Naruto and Luca win the first match of the second round," Lillian said, getting cheers from the crowd, while Naruto walked over and offered his hand to Alex, who took it with a smile before they headed back to the waiting area. As the second battle began, Naruto leaned against the wall, his eyes closed as he thought back to how Luca had evolved. Flashback. Naruto and Luca were standing on the edge of a lake in the Sinnoh region. They were visiting Professor Rowan and had just finished the day's work and decided to visit the lake. "So this is Lake Verity, it's so calm," Naruto said, looking around in amazement at how serene the place was. "Yeah, you're right, it is nice," Luca said with a smile. "Hey, how about a spar on top of the lake?" Alright, you're on, Naruto said as the two ran onto the lake, not noticing a pair of curious eyes watching them, since the owner of those eyes was currently invisible. Once the two were on top of the lake, they stared at each other for a few seconds, before shooting forward and engaging in a fierce fight. The owner of the eyes watching them stared in awe as the two traded blows, dodging and blocking the other's attacks before jumping away and firing aura spheres at each other. You're getting better, Luca, Naruto smirked as she shot out of the smoke the two attacks made when they collided, aiming a punch at him, only for him to grab her arm and slam her into the water, before throwing her onto the shore. And you're still annoying, she said as he appeared above her, pinning her down with a smirk on his face before he leaned down and kisses her, shocking the invisible observer, a human and a Pokémon. It seemed impossible. I know, but that's what you love about me, he said before kissing her again, then helping her up. You're right, but I won't lose next time, she said, pouncing on him, pinning him down in a kiss. I love you, she said, breaking the kiss, before she began to glow white, indicating that she was evolving. As the light died down, Naruto stared at his first Pokémon with a smile, before leaning up and kissing his new Lucario. I love you too, he said with a smile before they got up and headed back to Rowan's lab. Flashback end. Naruto smirked at the memory of how his first Pokémon evolved, glancing over at her as she leaned against the wall next to him, her eyes closed and a smirk playing across her lips. Remembering the day I evolved as well? She asked, opening one of her red eyes and glancing at him. Yeah, you were just as beautiful and stubborn now as you were back then, he said, causing her to chuckle. I know, but that's what you love about me, she said as they pushed to the wall and headed towards the arena, the second match having just ended. Alright folks, it's time for the final match of the Cerulean City Pokémon contest, the crowd roared in excitement. First we have Lois from Cinnabar Island, a girl with light pink hair waved with a smile. And her opponent is Naruto from Pallet Town. The crowd again cheered. You have 30 minutes on the clock, and begin. Light up the stage, Magmar, Lois said, sending out her Magmar. Rock the stage, Luca, Naruto said, releasing Luca, who narrowed her eyes at the fire type. Luca start off with Aura Sphere, counter with Flamethrower. The two attacks collided in the center of the arena, causing an explosion, getting a smirk out of Naruto. Luca now, Naruto yelled as the smoke began to clear, revealing a hole in the ground. If you think having your Lucario go underground is going to save her, you're sadly mistaken, Lois said with a smirk. Magmar used Flamethrower in the hole. The Magmar shot a jet of flames into the hole, getting a smirk from Naruto. Now Luca, use Close Combat, Naruto said as a shadow appeared above Magmar, shocking everyone. What, but how? Lois asked as Luca descended onto Magmar and began punching away. Simple, Luca using her aura, created a solid double and had it dig into the ground while she jumped into the air and hid in the rafters. Naruto smirked, shocking everyone. Now Luca, let's end this with a hyper beam. With a small nod, Luca sent one last punch at Magmar. Luca jumped back before firing an orange beam of energy, which hit the fire type, causing an explosion. The crowd waited with bated breath before letting out a loud cheer as the smoke cleared to reveal Magmar out cold and Luca standing there with a smirk on her face. The winners of the Cerulean City Pokémon contest are Naruto and Luca, Lillian yelled into her mic as Naruto walked over and offered his hand to Lois, who stared at it for a few seconds before shaking it, a small smile and blush on her face. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Naruto, you already have 2 badges and a ribbon, Delia said an hour later as Naruto sat in front of a video phone and showed his mom his ribbon, Luca standing on his right and Kura sitting on his left while Kushina sat on his head. And Kushina looks healthy. I'm guessing the transfer was a success. Yeah, of course it's all thanks to Cynthia that she now has a body again, even if it is a baby's, he said while Kushina glared at him, causing the others to chuckle. Just because I'm in the form of a baby, does not mean you can treat me like one, Kushina said, smacking him with her paw. Yeah, I know, he said, causing a twitch to appear in her eye. By the way, Mom, do you think you could order me a few blue, black and pink apricorns? I was wanting to make a few heavy, lure and love balls. Alright, I'll order them and have them sent to the Pokémon Center in Vermillion City, she said with a smile. Thanks, Mom, I'll talk to you later, and don't worry, I'll keep an eye on Ashley, Naruto said before hanging up. So I take it you're going to be traveling with us. Ashley asked, looking over at her boyfriend with a curious look. Just until we arrive at Bill's home, there are some things I need to see him about, Naruto said, nodding his head before getting up and heading over to where Cynthia was waiting by the door. It was good seeing you again, Cynthia. It was good to see you again as well. I'm sorry to be heading out like this, but I need to be getting back to Sinnoh. My title's not going to defend itself, she chuckled before kissing him. And be sure to take care of Kushina and those 2 babies, she said, getting a nod from him before she left, a small sway in her hips which Naruto's eyes followed until the door closed behind her, cutting off his view. Well then, I guess we should be heading out to, Naruto said, glancing at the 3 behind him, all of whom nodded before following him out the door. Hey Naruto, what 2 babies was she talking about? Misty asked, glancing over at him with a curious stare. Those 2 eggs I had back in Pewter hatched a while ago, and since they're babies I have to take care of them, so the only Pokemon I have with me are Kura, Luca, Kushina, the 2 babies, and I had the professor send over Aurora. Who's Aurora? Brock asked, getting a grin from Naruto. Well, he looked around to make sure no one was listening, before motioning them to lean in closer. She's a secret, he said happily, causing the 3 to face foe as Naruto laughed at their expressions. That's not funny, Naruto, Ashley yelled, getting a small smile from her brother. Of course it is, and it's my right to keep secrets, he said, walking ahead of them. But if you really want to know, then all you have to do is catch me. All 3 stared at him, thinking it would be easy to catch him. Nodding their heads in agreement to his terms, the 3 lunged at him only to meet the ground. Now, you don't think I would make it that easy for you, do you? They all looked up to see Naruto crouching on a tree branch with a fox-like smile across his face. Like I said, all you have to do is catch me, he said before leaping to another tree with a smile on his face as the 3 teens chased after him, deep into the forest. Naruto had a small twitch in his eye as he entered Vermillion City. The reason, a few feet ahead him were Ashley, Misty and Brock, who had apparently arrived in the city only moments ago. After they left Cerulean City, it had taken the group nearly 3 weeks before they reached Bill's lighthouse. The main reasons were a Squirtle, which had taken the group hostage before Ashley caught it, a Bulbasaur, who was protecting a small nursery before allowing Ashley to catch it, and a Charmander who was abandoned by its trainer before Ashley caught it. Along the way, Naruto had captured a few new Pokemon himself, a school of Magikarp, a litter of Growlithe pups he found, and a few Diglett. When asked why he captured so many of each Pokemon, Naruto explained that he was working to be the world's leading Pokemon expert in every field ranging from training to breeding. He explained that by catching multiple Pokemon of the same species it would allow him to study how they interacted in groups and with other Pokemon, as well being able to learn more about their breeding and growing habits. After 3 weeks of travel they arrived at Bill's lighthouse where Naruto received a call from Professor Elm about a group of Pokemon Rangers trapped in Mt. Silver. So without any hesitation Naruto flew to Mt. Silver on his Lugia, who had grown rapidly within 3 weeks, and helped rescue the trapped Rangers, seeing as he was a first-class Ranger. He also took some time to capture a few Pokemon while there. After his trip to Mt. Silver, Naruto headed to Vermillion, expecting Ashley to have won her badge and headed out, only to find them arriving minutes before him. What the hell, what are you guys doing here? Naruto asked, walking up to them, causing them all to jump in surprise. Oh, hey Naruto, when did you get here? Ashley asked, not meeting her brother's eyes or answering his question. I got here a second ago, but I want to know why you 3 are just getting here as well. The 3 trainers avoided his gaze, telling him something was up, but since it didn't really concern him he let it drop. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter anyways, let's just get to the Pokemon Center. I need to get my newest Pokemon looked at before my gym battle. With that, Naruto headed towards the Pokemon Center. Hello and welcome to the Vermillion City Pokemon Center, how can I help you? Naruto smiled at the nurse Joy standing in front of him before handing her 3 Pokeball. Could you please make sure they're alright for me? The Joy's face became as pink as her hair upon seeing Naruto's smile. Thank you, he nodded his head before heading over to his sister and her friends. So Ashley, you ready for a gym battle? The Hanyo asked as he sat down next to his sister. You bet, I'm gonna win my 3rd badge no sweat, she boasted, causing Naruto to chuckle at her optimism. since he knew that each gym leader is stronger than the last. Well, while you do that, I'm gonna go get the apricorns I asked Mom to order for me, then I'll meet you at the gym. At the agreeing nod from his sister, Naruto went to get his 3 Pokémon, who were done healing, and headed out the front door, after signing an autograph for the Nurse Joy. After getting his supplies from the Pokémon Center, Naruto was headed towards the gym when something caught his eye. Karen of the Elite Four was smirking at a trainer who had apparently demanded a challenge. Karen had long blue and light blue eyes. She was wearing a pair of white capers and a yellow shirt that showed of her toned stomach. Sigh, this is boring. Houndoom finished this off with Flamethrower. The dark dog Pokémon opened its mouth and knocked its opponent out with a torrent of flames. Well, that certainly was entertaining. Karen and her Houndoom turned around at the sarcasm, ready to tell the person of, only for a smile to form instead. Hello Naruto, it's been a while, she smirked, walking over to him, a small sway in her hips. Because of his connections with the professors and Cynthia, Naruto knew and was on good terms with almost all of the Elite Four from every region, more so with the female members than the male. I heard you were traveling the Kanto region, but I never expected you to be here at the same time as me. What a coincidence. Yeah, I guess it is. Who would have thought I would run into you here? He smirked at her before she leaned down and kissed him, getting a few catcalls and wolf whistles from the crowd that gathered for her battle. That tasted good, can I have another? That caused her to chuckle. Alright, how about this? We have a one-on-one Pokémon battle right here. If you win all, she bent down and whispered into his ear, causing his face to light up. But if I win, you have to travel with me for 1 month, is it a deal? With a grin, Naruto nodded before jumping back a few feet, grabbing one of his Pokeballs as he did. You're on, Karen. I was hoping to save her for my match against Lieutenant Surge, but you'll do. Let's go Kushina. Naruto threw the Pokeball, releasing Kushina, who had evolved into a Zoroark during their trip to Mt. Silver. Wow, I never expected you to have something like her, Karen said, recalling her Houndoom before grabbing another Pokeball. Let's see how she does against this little girl. She released a pure white Murkrow, which silently landed on Karen's shoulder. Wow, that's Murkrow's white, that is so cool, Naruto said, causing the bird Pokemon to turn a little pink, since it had never been complimented by anyone except Karen. Thank you, the Murkrow said before taking to the sky, preparing to battle. You're welcome, but don't expect us to go easy on you. Kushina used Night Slash, Sorrow, counter with Wing Attack. With high speeds the two clashed, similar to Shinobi. For the next few minutes the small crowd cheered as the two continued to battle, neither giving an inch until Naruto called out a move that surprised everyone. Alright Kushina, let's end this with Roar. Kushina had a small smirk on her face before letting out a monstrous roar, which caused everyone to freeze, before Sorrow was covered in a red glow and returned to her Pokeball. Well, that was anticlimactic, Kushina said, breaking everyone out of their shock. Since none of them had ever heard a roar like that, it was almost demonic. Yeah, well, don't forget, we need to get to the gym to watch Ashley's match, then try our own hand at getting a badge, Naruto said, getting a sigh and nod from Kushina. Hey Karen, thanks for the battle, but we got to go. With that, Naruto vanished and reappeared next to the dark trainer, picked her up bridal style, then vanished again, Kushina following behind him. A few minutes later, the three arrived at the gym, and with a small smirk on his face, Naruto led them inside, only for his smirk to vanish as he saw Ashley fall to her knees with tears in her eyes next to her Pikachu, which seemed to be pretty hurt. Ashley, what's wrong? What happened to Pikachu? The teary-eyed girl simply looked at him before busting into tears. First Pikachu was hurt and now her brother comes to see her crying after her loss. So the little baby has a baby brother here to see her loss. Naruto glanced over at Lieutenant Surge, his normal blue eyes now blood red. Are you the one who made Ashley cry? At Surge's smirk, Naruto vanished and reappeared with his fist planted in Surge's stomach, causing the older man to cough up a little blood. No one makes my sister cry while I'm around, he said before appearing next to Ashley, who had Pikachu in her arms, and led her over to her friends and Karen, while treating Pikachu with what he had. You little punk, who do you think you are? Surge growled out, holding his stomach. It had been a long time since he was hit like that and he wasn't planning on taking it sitting down. I think I'm the person who's about to kick your ass for making my sister cry, the redhead said as he pulled out a Pokeball. The fact that I'm here for a gym battle is just a bonus. Ha, you're here for a badge as well. Fine, but don't cry when you lose, he chuckled as his Raichu walked forward. Don't worry, I won't. Teddy, let's go. Naruto tossed the Pokeball he was holding, releasing a small green bear with a crescent moon on its forehead. Ha ha ha. What's this? You think I'm scared of a little teddy bear? Ha ha ha. Teddy's eyes narrowed at the man making fun of her, which caused Naruto to smirk, since he knew Teddy didn't like being made fun of. I wouldn't make fun of her if I were you. Surge laughed harder at this before starting the match. Alright, I warned you. Teddy, finish this in one move, use Seismic Toss. Surge smirked, thinking the bear Pokemon would never reach his Raichu in time to perform the attack, only for his, and everyone in the gym aside from Naruto and Kushina, jaw to drop as the Teddiursa vanished, reappearing under Raichu and kicking him into the air. Once Raichu was high enough, Teddy vanished and reappeared behind the airborne Pokemon, before grabbing its sides and spinning a few times before throwing the electric Pokemon to the ground, creating a small crater and a cloud of dust. Everyone stared in utter silence as they processed what just happened. Surge's Raichu, which had easily beaten Ashley's Pikachu, had just gotten its ass handed to it by a Pokemon who didn't even look like it had tried fighting. Well, now that that's done, I'll take my badge and we'll be on our way. Surge silently nodded, handing Naruto his badge, before watching them leave the gym, Naruto's arm wrapped around Ashley's shoulder in support. That night, after returning to the Pokemon Center and getting Pikachu taken care of, Naruto contacted Professor Oak and sent him all of his Pokemon except Teddy, since he was planning to train her some more. Once he was done, Naruto headed towards the room Karen had rented at the center in order to get his reward for winning, when he ran into Ashley, who had a lost look on her face. Hey Ashley, something wrong? Naruto asked his sister, a worried look on his face. Naruto, can I sleep with you tonight? Naruto sighed, he was sure that was what she was going to ask. Sigh, sure, come on. With a warm smile he led her towards Karen's room. Upon knocking on the door, it opened to reveal Karen in a black tank top and black lacy panties. After explaining the situation to Karen, the three headed to bed. Later that night, as the moon hung high in the sky, Naruto sat at the window of the room, a smile on his face as he watched Karen hold Ashley close to her. Sigh, well, I didn't get my reward, but this is a nice change, he smiled at the sight. It was supposed to be just him and Karen, but he could understand Ashley's reasoning for wanting to stay with him. She was never really good with losing, and she had lost pretty badly today. Before he could do anything else, he heard his cell vibrating thanks to his enhanced hearing, seeing as it was on the other side of the room underneath a pile of cloths. Naruto speaking. Hey Elisa, what do need? Another fashion shoot. Sure, we can play for it. When is it? So we need to leave tomorrow in order to get there on time. Sure, I'll leave first thing in the morning. Right. Love you too. I'll see you when I get there. With a small shake of his head and one last look at the moon, Naruto headed to bed. Well, it was good seeing you guys again, but I got to go. It was early the next morning and Naruto was standing in front of the Pokemon Center saying his goodbyes to Ashley, her friends and Karen. I'll talk to you guys later, and Ashley, good luck on your gym battle. With that said, Naruto began to walk away. Hey Naruto, before you go, catch. Karen tossed him a Pokeball, which he easily caught. I want you to take care of Saro. She's had it rough, and I believe you're just the person to help her. Nodding his head in appreciation, Naruto ran off at inhuman speeds, headed towards Celadon City, where Elisa was having her fashion show. In a large stadium in Celadon City, a huge crowd was gathered in the dark arena, waiting. The reason? The Unova region's top model was holding a fashion shoot with a special guest, Naruto Ketchum, who was going to be playing a few of his newest songs as an opening. Suddenly the crowd cheered as a light flicked on, revealing Naruto, wearing a pair of black jeans and a blood-red shirt with the logo of his band on the front, a picture of him in his Hanyo form, and holding his guitar. Slowly strumming his guitar, another light flashed on next to him, revealing Luca, who began to sing. Play. Mambo by Helena Paparizu. Love has got me caught up. Drives me to the door. Every little piece is like knocking at your door. More lights flashed on to reveal the rest of Naruto's band. Tai Lee was on the drums, Asami was on the keyboard, and Sadao was playing the bass guitar. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Can't you see the signs? Written by a maniac. This love has made me blind. Can't deny. The poison gets me high. Just a little taste. Shoot my life. And hit me like a drum. The rest of the lights flashed on, the crowd cheering as Luca began to dance while singing, blocking out everything except for the music. Hey hey hey, I feel the mambo aea. The mambo aea. You make my heart go. Hey hey hey, just like a mambo aea. I let it out. Mambo aea. Mambo aea. Hey 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 hey. The crowd went wild as Elisa and a few of the other models, which included the Cerulean sister, moved onto the stage and began dancing along with Luca. You are my obsession, stuck into my heart, never let you here to run. Never set apart. Do it, do it, do it. Come and stay tonight. Wake up in a fantasy. And take a little bite. Can't you see? Your love addicted me, just a little taste. Shoot my love. And hit me like a drum. Everyone cheered louder as the lights began to flash different colors, enhancing the beauty and mystery of the models dancing. Hey hey hey, I feel the mambo aea. The mambo aea. You make my heart move. Hey hey hey, just like a mambo aea. I let it out. Mambo aea. Play the game, and get me hypnotized. Wanna feel that vibe. So hey now Mr. Wiz. Get the magic done. Let me sway up high. Baby here I am. Luna jumped forward, glowing a light pink color before using attract, which caused all of the guys to have hearts in their eyes. Hey hey hey, I feel the mambo aea. The mambo aea. You make my heart move. Hey hey hey, just like a mambo aea. I let it out. Mambo aea. Hey hey hey, I feel the mambo aea. The mambo aea. You make my heart move. Hey hey hey, just like a mambo aea. I let it out. Mambo aea. Hey hey hey, mambo aea. Hey hey hey, just like a mambo aea. As the song ended, the crowd went crazy, cheering their heads off while the band and the dancers all took a bow, before Naruto began playing a few more songs. That night after the shoot was over, Naruto was sitting in his room at the Pokémon Center, having just switched his Pokémon out for a different team, all of whom were laying around the bed as he tried to decide who he was going to have battle Erika in their gym battle. Alright, well, I know Erika uses grass types for gym battles and she's always uses Gloom, just need to think of who else she might use and who to match them up against. He glanced around at his current team. Sleeping on his pillows was his Larvitar. He had saved the little girl from a flock of Spearow. Curled up at the end of his bed was his new Dratini, which he caught while visiting the Safari Zone. She put up one hell of a fight. Leaning against the wall, looking out at the moon was his Sneasel, who was pure white in color. Instead of a normal Pokemon battle, she had decided to fight him one-on-one, and she had out up a great fight. She even forced him to use his Hanyo form. Sleeping with her head in Sneasel's lap was his Charmander, who was completely black. Even the flame on her tail was black. He had saved her from some poachers. Curled up in his lap was his third Eevee, since the first two evolved into an Espeon and Umbreon, and finally sprawled out at his feet was a Bulbasaur. He had found her laying on the side of the road. She had been abandoned by her trainer since she refused to evolve. Sigh, I guess I can decide on who to use in the morning. Smiling at the sight of his family, Naruto recalled all of them to his Pokeball before stretching, preparing to head to bed, only to turn as someone knocked on the door to his room. Curious as to who would be knocking at his door at this hour, Naruto opened it and stared. Standing in front of him was Elisa with a bag. Elisa, what are you doing here? He asked, though he had a guess, since he could smell the pheromones rolling off of her in waves. Well, I came to keep you company tonight. She smirked as she entered his room and placed her bag in the chair he had been sitting in moments ago, before she started to remove her shirt, showing Naruto her bare chest, since she wasn't wearing a bra. Lemon. Naruto gulped upon seeing her censored. Her nipples were perky and pink. Do you like what you see so far? Elisa asked with a seductive smirk as she grasped her censored and gently began squeezing them. What do I get if I say yes? Naruto asked as he removed his shirt, showing of his chiseled chest, which caused the Nimbasa gym leader to lick her lips in anticipation. Well, that's simple. She slowly pulled of her pants, revealing her wet censored, as trail of her juices clinging to her pants. Naruto licking his lips in anticipation as he removed his own pants, revealing his hard censored, and locking the door. he was glad he asked for a soundproof room. Your reward is me. She sat on the bed and spread her legs, inviting him in while eyeing his censored, wondering if it would even fit her. With a small smirk, Naruto moved over to her and captured her lip, lowering her to the bed while rubbing his censored against her lower lip. Are you ready for this? Naruto asked as they broke apart for air. Yes, more than you know, she smirked before lining him up with her. Naruto slowly put the tip into her, causing her to wince a little. Are you all right? She nodded her head, biting her bottom lip as the pain began to vanish. Yeah, just go slow at first, all right. Naruto nodded his head as he gently pushed all the way inside her, causing her to moan in pleasure as he hit deep inside of her. Once he was fully inside of her, Naruto slowly pulled out before slamming back into her, slowly at first before picking up speed. Oh yes, so good, faster, faster, harder, faster, oh yes. Naruto smirked as Elisa screamed in pleasure, his pace quickly increasing, causing the bed to shake with every thrust. Man, you're so tight, and you're squeezing me so much I think I'm about to come. Naruto grunted. He was about to pull out of her, but stopped as she wrapped her legs around him, stopping him from pulling out. She knew that he was a Hanyo, which made his sperm more potent and increased the chances of her having kids, which is what she wanted, especially if it was with Naruto. Then come. Release your seeds deep inside me, she yelled in pleasure as Naruto released his load inside of her, causing her to release as well. Man, that was great, Naruto panted after a few minutes of rest, getting a smirk from the model underneath him. So are you ready for another round? I was wondering when you were going to ask, she smirked before pulling him into a deep kiss, flipping him onto his back so that she was on top before she began to shake her ass, causing Naruto to moan in pleasure. But this time I get to be on top. Naruto grinned at his and let her be on top for the rest of the night. Lemon end. The next morning, Naruto stood next to Elisa as they stood outside the Celadon City gym, with over 100 of Naruto's fans behind them wanting to see the famous teen battle. So you ready for this? Naruto smirked and nodded his head, heading inside, followed by the spectators. Hello Naruto, I've been waiting for you. The gym leader Erika said as he entered the gym's battle arena, Elisa and his fans sitting in the stands. It seems you brought a conglomerate of people with you. Her eyes narrowed as they meet Elisa's, who had a smug smirk on her glowing face. Just Elisa. The fans came on their own. Not that I don't like the support. All of the fans cheered as he pulled out a Pokeball, which he spun on his finger. Besides, it's good practice for the Pokémon League. That's true, I guess. She sent one last glare at the Nimbasa gym leader before nodding to the referee to begin the battle. This will be a 3-on-3 Pokemon battle between the gym leader Erika and the challenger Naruto Ketchum of Pallet Town, the crowd cheered. The battle will end when all of the Pokemon on one side are unable to battle. Only the challenger may switch Pokemon during the match. Are both trainers ready? Both nodded. Then let the match begin. I'll start off with you. Go Weepinbell. Erika released her first Pokemon, which gave a small wave at seeing Naruto. I figured you'd start off with someone I know, and as much as I don't want to hurt Weepinbell, I'm now losing this match. Go Rose. Bulbasaur appeared, ready for a fight. Alright, let's begin. Weepinbell, use Stun Spore. Rose, use your vines like a fan and blow the spore back at Bell. Weepinbell began to shake, causing a cloud of powder to float towards Rose, who used her vines to blow the cloud back towards Weepinbell. Weepinbell dodged the cloud and used Razor Leaf. Rose, counter with your own Razor Leaf. The two grass types fired leaved at each other, the two attacks cancelling each other out. Weepinbell, use Slam. Rose dodged it and used Takedown. The seed Pokemon dodged the gym leader's Pokemon, rammed into it, sending it into a wall and knocking it out. Weepinbell is unable to battle. The first round goes to the challenger, the ref said, raising a flag, causing the crowd to cheer. Well, you're stronger than I thought you'd be, Naruto. Everyone gained a sweat drop as Naruto huddled against the wall, a dark cloud over his head as he muttered about Erika doubting him. But it doesn't mean you'll win. Go Tangela, she called out, releasing a blue Pokemon, who glared at Naruto, causing him to shiver. Why are you torturing me with her? Naruto asked as he recalled Rose to her Pokeball. He knew he needed to use someone that would end the match before Tangela got a hold of him. She hated him because of how close he was to her trainer. Don't worry, Tangela's not going to hurt you. she completely ignored the vine Pokémon striking the ground with its vine while glaring at Naruto. Right, well I guess it's up to you to take Tangela down a peg or two. Let's go, Glacial. Sneasel appeared with a bored look on her face, surprising the crowd at her color, before turning and giving Naruto an, "Are you kidding me, look. Sigh if you win all." He bent down and whispered into her ear, causing her to smirk as a pink tint crossed her face. "Fine, I'll battle, but I expect you to keep your word." Naruto nodded as Glacial turned to face her opponent. "Well, this will be fun. Just don't get overconfident." Erika's not a gym leader just because of her good looks. Erika's face slowly turned red at his words. "Alright, start off with Icy Wind. Tangela, dodge it and use Vine Whip." Tangela dodged Frost Icy Breath before wrapping her up, in a slightly perverted way. Glacial break out with Ice Beam, then follow it up with Shadow Claw. Glacial hit Tangela with a beam on ice to the face, before moving at insane speeds and striking Tangela with her claws, knocking her out. Tangela is unable to battle. The second round goes to the challenger. The crowd cheered again as Glacial walked back towards Naruto. "That was fun, but don't forget your promise." Naruto nodded at his head, a small smile on his face. "Don't worry, I won't." She nodded her head before moving to sit behind him. She knew who he was going to use next and wanted to see what her rival could do in a fight. "Well, I had no idea you would be this good, Naruto." Erika recalled her overprotective Tangela, before pulling out her last Pokeball. "But how will you fare against my last Pokemon? Go Gloom." She released the Weed Pokemon, who gained a smile and ran over to hug Naruto upon seeing him. "Hey Gloom, who you been?" He gently returned to hug. "Not to be mean or anything, but you should probably head back to Erika's side of the arena so we can start our battle." Gloom nodded before heading back towards her trainer. "Well, it looks like Gloom is happy to see you again." Erika smiled, placing her hand on Gloom's head. "Sigh, yeah, well, she's probably not Goanna like me for a while after she sees who she's up against." Pulled out his third and final Pokeball. "Amaterasu, let's show them what we can do." Again everyone was shocked at the sight of his Pokemon, a pitch-black Charmander with a black flame on its tail. "Oh my, you sure have quite the assortment of unique Pokemon, don't you, Naruto?" Erika gave him a sweet smile. "But that's not going to do you any good." Gloom use Acid, Ama dodge it and use Fire Punch. Amaterasu dodge all of the globs of poison that Gloom shot at her before punching the grass type with a fist of black flames, sending it skidding back a little. Gloom use Moonlight. Gloom shot a small glowing orb, which resembled the moon, into the sky before slowly healing. Censored, Ama, stop her with Flamethrower. Ama fired a jet of black flames at the grass Pokemon, since Gloom couldn't move while healing, which hit its mark sending Gloom into the wall, knocking her out. Gloom is unable to battle. The winner of the third match in the battle is the challenger, Naruto Uzumaki. The crowd went wild, but stopped as Amaterasu began to glow. "Alright, Ama's evolving." Naruto cheered as Ama grew a little bigger and a small horn grew out of the back of her head. "Well, Naruto, I must congratulate you on your win. That was a great battle," Erika said, walking over to him with a small smile. "As gym leader of Celadon City, it is my honor to present you with the Rainbow Badge. You earned it." She handed him a multicolored badge, before leaning in and kissing him on the lips, getting jealous and angry glares from all of Naruto's female fans. "Thanks, Erika, that was a great battle." Naruto smirked before recalling Frost and Amaterasu and heading for the door. "But if you'll excuse me, I need to get going. Need to track down Ashley and her friends, so I'll see you later." And with another swift kiss, Naruto bolted down the street, all of his fans right behind him. Naruto was standing under the sign that read, "Welcome to Celadon City," his eye twitching in annoyance. He had spent the last 2 months tracking down Ashley and her 2 friends, which had taken him all over the place before landing him back in Celadon. His first stop was the Fuchsia City Gym, where Naruto beat Koga, the gym leader, after learning that Ashley had already got a badge. He then spent a week in the Safari Zone, where he captured a herd of Tauros to rival Ashley's own, along with a number of other Pokemon he captured while there. He also spent a few days working at the Laramie Ranch, which was one of the biggest Pokemon ranches in Kanto, where he learned that Ashley had helped out a girl named Laura by racing her Ponyta turned Rapidash in the ranch's yearly race and winning. After that, Naruto found himself in Saffron City, where Sabrina gave him a badge after a date and a day in bed, which pissed off her dad, who had helped Ashley when Sabrina was in one of her moods and split her personality again. He later found himself at a haunted tower in Lavender Town, where he met a couple of funny ghost types, who pissed Glacial off with their rather annoying jokes. Damn it, I ran around half of Kanto, dodging fangirls at every stop, just to end up back here. Ashley, you are so dead, Naruto growled as he ran towards the gym where he knew she was headed. Sitting in front of a perfume shop she had just been kicked out of for saying the perfume stank. Since she was a tomboy, Ashley froze and shivered slightly as a feeling of dread washed over her. Shrugging it off as nothing, she stood up and headed for the gym in order to earn her next badge. Naruto scowled as he sat inside the gym's reception area, glaring at the door while rubbing Gloom's head and drinking a canned coffee. What do you mean I can't come in? Naruto turned towards the door to see 3 of the gym attendants refusing to allow Ashley in. I got to challenge the gym leader in order to become a Pokemon master. I don't care if you were the last trainer on Earth, this gym doesn't allow anyone inside who says that perfume is a stinky rip-off, one of the head attendants said, glaring at Ashley. Why not? Naruto sighed as he headed over towards his sister, still angry that he had to chase her all the way across Kanto and back. It's because this gym makes and sells a special brand of perfume. All of the attendants and Ashley turned to see Naruto walking towards them, followed by Gloom. Naruto, what are you doing here? Are you here to get a badge too? The twitch in Naruto's eye returned at her question. Of course not, I got the rainbow badge over a month ago. He then appeared behind her and slapped the back of her head. And that's for making me chase you all over Kanto and back. Honestly, your sense of direction is even worse than when we were kids. You don't have to be so mean about it, she pouted, getting a blank look from Naruto, who turned to face the one stopping Ashley from entering the gym. Sai, can you tell me exactly why she's not allowed in the gym? He asked, picking up Gloom and holding her in his arms. She said that perfume is just a waste of money and that it stinks. Naruto let out a sigh. He knew he'd be hearing about this later. If she was being prevented from entering the gym, it really meant that she somehow insulted Erika, which you just didn't do. Sai, don't worry, I'll take care of it. He turned to face Ashley. Follow me. He began walking towards the battle arena, Ashley and all of the attendants following him. Ashley, we are going to have a Pokemon battle. Now there are 2 reasons for this. The first is to see how far you have come as a trainer, and second, if you can impress me, I'll talk with Erika about battling you for your badge. Really? At his nod, she ran over and hugged him with all of her might before moving over to the challenger box while Naruto took the gym leader's box, Gloom standing beside him. Alright, now, this will be a 3-on-3 match, just like it would be if you were battling the gym leader. He gestured for the referee to take her place and call the matches just like a gym battle. And Ashley, just like a gym leader, I'm not going to go easy on you, she nodded with a determined look on her face. Alright, this will be a 3-on-3 match between Naruto Ketchum and Ashley Ketchum. There is no time limit. The match will end when all 3 of either trainer's Pokemon are unable to battle, or both trainers ready. The 2 siblings nodded. Then let the match begin. I choose you, Squirtle. Ashley released her first Pokemon, which was the Squirtle she caught on their way to Bill's lighthouse. A water type. Very well then, show her what you got. Kasumi. Naruto released his Dratini, who was almost ready to evolve. Wow, when did you get a Dratini? Ashley asked, pulling out her Pokédex and getting info on Dratini, who had a tired look on her face as she glanced at her opponent. That doesn't matter. Now Kasumi start off with Rap. Squirtle, dodge it. The turtle Pokemon tried to jump out of the way but wasn't fast enough to avoid the dragon Pokemon. Good, now use Slam. Squirtle, use Withdraw. The water type ducked into its shell as the Kasumi twisted her body and slammed her opponent into the ground, only for the Squirtle to pop back up with a determined look on his face. Well, he's a lot tougher than he looks. Squirtle gained a confident look in his eyes. But that's not enough. Kasumi, finish this with Thunderbolt. Kasumi's body sparked with electricity before she fired a bolt which hit Squirtle, knocking him out. Squirtle, are you alright? Naruto gained a small grin at the sight of his sister's concern for her Pokemon. Good work, Kasumi. Naruto's grin widened as Kasumi began to glow white, shocking everyone as she grew in length, a small horn growing on her head along with a pair of wings and 2 small orbs growing on her tail. And congratulations on evolving. She gave him a small smile before he recalled her into her Pokeball. So, ready for the second match? I'm not losing this one. Go Primeape. She released a Primeape which glared at Naruto. Can you even control him? The Primeape started going crazy. I guess that answers my question. Fine, Crystal, take this guy out. He released Crystal, his new Glaceon, who had evolved during his side trip to Seafoam Island. Crystal used Ice Beam, put him on ice. Crystal blinked at the Primeape before blasting him with a beam of ice, trapping him in a block of ice, which gets a crack as he tried to break free. Seeing this, Ashley quickly recalled him to his Pokeball before he could break free. Sigh, alright, I've seen enough, the battle's over. Crystal ran over and sat by Naruto with. What? But why? Naruto sighed. He forgot how much she hated to lose, especially against him. Ever since Delia adopted him, Ashley had always been striving to catch up or surpass him in anything they did, which is what he loved about her. Because, I've seen all I need to see, he said, walking over to her and putting a hand on her head, a small smile on his face. Don't worry, I'll talk to Erika and convince her to have a battle with you so that you can get your badge. You're going to have to do a lot of convincing. Everyone turned towards the door where they saw Erika standing, still wearing the kimono that she wore at the perfume shop. Come on Erika, it's just one battle. Besides, remember what I said when I first found out about your perfume? The gym leader glared at him. You swore you would never bring that up again. Naruto gave her a sheepish chuckle. Fine, if you want to talk then follow me, we'll talk in my room. Naruto nodded and ran over to her, offering her arm, which she took as they walked to her private room, Crystal right behind her. So how do you plan to convince me to battle that girl? Erika asked once they reached her room, Naruto recalling Crystal and locking the door behind him, while she began to untie her kimono. Oh, I can think of one way. He took off his shirt and threw it into a corner before he reappeared behind her, causing her to squeak. Lemon. Naruto, what are you doing? She moaned out as he grasped her censored gently while sliding his hand under her kimono and rubbing her censored, since she wasn't wearing any underwear. Isn't it obvious? I'm convincing you to battle my sister. He smirked as he pulled on the knot of her obi, which allowed her kimono to fall away, to reveal her in all of her glory. I hate you. She turned around in his arms and pulled him into a deep kiss while fiddling with his pants, which fell to the floor, before the two moved over to the bed. I know, he smirked before shoving his censored into her, causing her to scream in pleasure as her eyes rolled into the back of her head from the shock. Damn, you're so tight. Naruto grunted as he pounded into Erika, whose tongue was hanging out of her mouth, her eyes glazed over in pleasure, which caused Naruto to smirk. Oh, censored, I think I'm about to come. He thrust inside of her a few more times before he released his load deep into her, causing her to scream in pleasure as she released all of her juices over him. Lemon end. Once Naruto had pulled out of her and both of them had gotten cleaned up, they headed back towards the arena, Naruto smirking at the slight limp Erika had. Naruto remembered the first time he slept with each of his girls. On his 10th birthday his mom decided to throw him a huge party, since had also just been classified as a first-class Pokemon Ranger, got his Pokemon medical license and his breeder licenses. His mom had invited all of his mentors, which included the professors from each region, as well as all of the gym leaders, Frontier Brains and Elite Four members, as well as his Pokemon Ranger mentor Solana. That night as the party was ending and the only remaining members of the party were Delia, Naruto, Cynthia, Claire, Erika, Sabrina, Jasmine, Whitney, Flannery, Elisa, Fantina, Gardenia, Caitlin, Karen, Lorelai, Lucy, Annabelle, Dahlia, and Solana. Everyone else having left, Naruto's demonic instincts kicked in, and he began to release an uncontrollable amount of pheromones. The next morning Naruto woke up to find himself deep inside of Annabelle, while all around him the women all lay, the smell of sweat and pleasure around all of them. Once they had all woken up, Naruto had explained everything to the ones who didn't know about him being part demon and that his demonic instincts had kicked in, which they all surprisingly accepted. Over the next 3 years, during every holiday, all of the girls and Naruto, including his, at the time, 3 female Pokemon, repeated the night they had, with Naruto putting a technique Kushina had taught him, the Shadow Clone Jutsu, to good work, though he had gotten Claire pregnant during their last get-together, which was sped up because of his demonic aura, so that instead of 9 months it was 6. Naruto was pulled out of his thoughts as they reached the arena and Erika accepted Ashley's challenge, much to his sister's joy. So Naruto, Who do you think will win? Brock asked as Naruto sat in the stands next to him and Misty. In all honesty, it could go either way. Everyone in the stands turned to him for an explanation while the battle started, Erika starting off with Tangela and Ashley with her own Bulbasaur. What do you mean by that? Misty asked curiously. She knew Ashley was tough, but she heard that Erika was one asked to join the Elite Four, which meant she had to be tough. I've battled both of them, and in truth Erika is the stronger of the two. Whoever Ashley's got a drive that pushes her and her Pokémon to the edge without sending them over. She has a good grasp of her limits at her current level. Everyone looked at him, shocked he would say that about someone as hot-headed as Ashley. When it comes to Pokémon battles, both have their own unique styles. Everyone was paying close attention to him as they watched the battle, trying to see the styles he was talking about. Erika uses grass types, and with their powder and vines, they make for good long-range attackers. Erika's style revolves mainly around poisoning or paralyzing her opponent's Pokémon. Ashley on the other hand has a much more wild style about her. She tries to go with type advantage or field advantage in her battles, and if that doesn't work she tries for raw power. The stands were quiet as Naruto finished his observation of both trainers' battling style. The gym attendants couldn't believe he could explain Erika's entire strategy without missing a beat. Brock and Misty were also stunned. Even though he was Ashley's brother, he hadn't spent very much time with them since Ashley started her journey, and had only battled her once in all that time, but was able to explain her style as if it were his own. After the first match, Naruto grinned when Ashley brought out her Charmander. The little girl was definitely stronger and in better health than it was when Ashley caught her. Well, it looks like Amaterasu might have a friend and another rival, Naruto thought with a smirk as Ashley beat Erika's Weepinbell, shocking a lot of the onlookers. Before the final match could begin, a familiar and unwelcomed voice was heard, causing everyone to look up as Team Rocket arrive on the scene. Oh great, not these losers again. Naruto sighed and grabbed his Kasumi's Pokeball, only to stop as Team Rocket's Meowth set of a bomb it planted in the center of the gym, right under them, which sent them blasting off with a small vial that caused Naruto to chuckle, since it was extract from Bloom. Hurry girls, we got to rescue all the Pokémon fast, the head attendant yelled as the fire from the explosion was quickly eating away at the plants inside the gym. Damn, those three really know how to piss me off. Let's go Kasumi, use rain dance to put out the fire. Kasumi appeared out high above the gym, using the hole the three idiots made, and looked up at the sky, the orb under her chin lighting up, as a huge storm cloud appeared over the city, before rain began to pour, putting out the fire while Ashley saved Bloom, who was trapped by the fire. Once the fire was out, Naruto examined the damage to the gym. After a quick overview of the destroyed area, Naruto informed Erika and the gym attendants that with the proper construction, that gym would be repaired within 2 months. Thank you for saving the rest of the gym, Naruto. Erika smiled as she kissed him, getting a sad look from Brock, who was muttering about Naruto getting all the beautiful girls, before she turned to Ashley. And thank you for saving Bloom. As your reward I present you with this, the rainbow badge. She smiled as she handed the stunned girl her badge. Alright, I got the rainbow badge. Ashley cheered with a wide grin on her face, which ended as everyone turned to Naruto as his cell phone rang. Yo, this is Naruto, what's up? Wait, slow down Jasmine, what? Where is she? Alright, calm down, go and wait with her. I'm going to switch out on of my team for a flying type and I'll be there as soon as I can. Alright, I'll see you when I get there. Love you too and thanks for calling me, bye. Naruto let out a long sigh as he hung up the phone. What's wrong Naruto? Misty asked curiously. From that phone call it sounded urgent. Claire's gone into labor. Jasmine's at the Blackthorn City Hospital with her. Erika and Ashley both gasped. They knew about Claire being pregnant and were happy for her. Brock and Misty on the other hand were confused. Who's Claire? The two asked in confusion, only to be ignored as Erika and Ashley dragged Naruto to the Pokémon Center to get one of his flying Pokémon. Are you sure you don't want to come? Naruto asked a few minutes later as he glanced at Erika and Ashley from the back of his now fully grown Lugia, whom he swapped out for his Larvitar. No, Lugia will be lighter and faster if it's just you, and besides Claire will need you more than anyone, Erika said with a smile on her face, getting an agreeing nod from his sister. Alright, thanks you too, I'll call you both as soon as I can. They both nodded and stepped away from the giant flying Pokémon. Alright Sora, to Blackthorn City, and step on it. Sora nodded her head and spread her wings, before hopping into the air and taking of at speeds rivaling a Dragonite's. Sigh man, I hope she's alright. It was nearing midnight and Naruto was pacing up and down the hall outside Claire's room. After leaving Celadon City, Naruto flew to Blackthorn, which was located in the Johto region. Upon arriving he was met by his mom, who had gotten there on his Firo, along with Luca, Kura and Kushina. Once he was caught up to speed, they all ran to the hospital where they met Jasmine, who rushed them inside. Upon reaching Claire's room, Naruto was barred from entering by a nurse who said that only the husband or the oldest member of the family could be present during the birth. Damned stupid bitch, Naruto punched a hole in the wall. Won't even let me watch my kid being born, he sighed before turning and taking the drink Jasmine was handing him. Thanks. Don't worry so much Naruto, I'm sure she's fine, he gave her a small smile. You know, it's probably a good thing you didn't go in there. They both turned to Kura, who was leaning against the wall in her human form. She stood a good 5'9", with long crimson hair and matching eyes. She was wearing a pair of jeans and a red shirt that hugged her chest. Behind her was a long fox tail, her 9 tails merging into one for convenience, and a pair of fox ears sat on top of her head. What do you mean by that? Jasmine asked with a confused look on her face. Why would it be good for Naruto not to see the birth of his first child? Sigh because, when Naruto turned 10 his body began to change again. Naruto and Jasmine raised an eyebrow at her. Sigh when Naruto entered the portal I made to bring him here, his body couldn't take the strain of jumping dimensions, no human body can, which is why I turned him into a Hanyo, so that he could survive. They both nodded in understanding. What I didn't count on was since turning him into a full Kitsune demon. Wait, so I'm going to become a full demon like you? Naruto asked a little surprised. It wasn't that he didn't like the idea of becoming a full demon like Kura. Hell, he was excited, it was just unnerving that this was the first he's heard of it. Yes, when we transferred my mind and aura to this new body, I only received 5 tails worth of my original power, which is slowly coming back. I should be back to full power by the time the Pokémon League arrives. Naruto blinked at that. He thought she had gotten all of her power back. The rest of my power, which is still sealed inside of you, is being absorbed by the seal, which is what the seal was designed to do. Because of this your aura is unstable for the most part, and is leaking out of you in waves. If I had to guess I'd say you're about as strong as the Rokubi. Because of the amount of power you're releasing, it would be dangerous for both Claire and the baby if you were in there while she gave birth. Since we are demons, our aura is more poisonous than a human's, and if they were exposed to yours while she was giving birth it could kill both of them. Naruto's eyes widened at that. He didn't want to kill either of them. What about after she gives birth? Would it be safe to see them then? Jasmine asked. She was a little worried about the answer. Yes, and this is also the only time he will have to miss the birth of his kids. They looked surprised at that. In a few months, probably by the time you get your 8th badge, the seal will have finished turning you into a demon. You should have 8 tails with the potential to gain a 9th, or more. Naruto blinked at that. He would be a full-fledged demon by the time he got his 8th badge. That would be so cool. Before anything else could be said, the door to Claire's room opened and Delia walked out with a happy smile on her face, a pink bundle in her hands. Congratulations Naruto, it's a girl. She gently handed the bundle to Naruto while Jasmine, Kura, Luca and Kushina, the last 2 in their human forms, gathered around to see the newest member of their family. Oh, she's so cute. She looks just like Grandma Mito. Kushina smiled down at the girl in Naruto's arms, who was looking around at everyone with a curious expression on her face. Who's Mito? Naruto asked, looking between Kushina and Kura. Mito was the first Jinchuriki for me back in the shinobi world. She was one of the few humans to actually gain my respect, Kura said, getting a nod from Kushina. Mito was the wife of the founder of Konoha, Hashirama Senju. She sealed Kura inside herself during the battle at the Valley of the End. She was considered one of the greatest seal masters to ever come out of the Uzumaki clan. Kushina smiled as she thought about the older Uzumaki and the Jinchuriki before her. That sounds like a good name for her, Luca said with a smile which Naruto mimicked. Luca stood a good 5'8", with shoulder-length blue hair and red eyes. She was wearing a pair of blue jeans and a black shirt with their band's logo on it. Her tail gently swayed behind her and her ears sitting on top of her head. Yeah, Mito Uzumaki Ketchum. Sounds good to me, he smiled, kissing the baby on the head. causing her to giggle before she began blowing spit bubbles at him, a grin on her face. With a smile on his face, Naruto carried his new daughter into the room where her mother was sound asleep. As quietly as he could, he placed Mito inside the crib in the room, kissed Claire's head, then sat in a chair against the wall and smiled as he watched her sleep. "Hey Claire, how are you feeling?" Naruto asked as few hours later as Claire began to wake up. "Better now that you're here," she smiled, glancing over at the crib where Mito was sleeping soundly. "So, have you named her yet?" "Yeah, I decided to name her Mito Uzumaki Ketchum, after the first container of Kura," she smiled. She liked the name, it suited her. "So have you collected all 8 badges for the Pokémon League yet?" Naruto shook his head, since he had flown straight to Blackthorn. "What about ribbons for the Grand Festival?" "I only have 4 ribbons and 8 badges," he said with a smile. "But when Jasmine called I rushed straight here," she gained a small smile at that as he kissed her on the head. "Alright, but once I'm out of here you need to get that last ribbon and those last 2 badges," he gained a worried look. "But what about you and Mito? I can't just let you watch her by yourself while I go running all over Kanto and the other regions," she frowned a little. "Don't worry Naruto, once I get out of here me and Mito will be going to Kanto with Delia, and I've asked Liza to watch the gym for me." Naruto still had a worried look on his face. "Naruto, it's important that you continue your journey so that you can support and guide your daughter in the future," she said sternly, causing him to gulp. He knew better than to argue with Claire. "Yes dear," she gave him a smirk and pulled him into a small kiss before falling back to sleep. Naruto let out a satisfied sigh as he walked towards Oak's lab. He had just finished moving Mito and Claire in with his mom so that she could help look after Mito while he finished the Pokémon League and was currently headed to switch out a few of his Pokémon. "Yo Professor, are you home?" Naruto yelled as he entered Oak's lab, before he was tackled by his Espeon, Umbreon, and Glaceon. "Hey you 3, good to see you again," he smiled, kissing each of them on the head. "Do you know where the old man is?" "I'm not that old." Naruto looked over to see Oak entering through the back door followed by Asami, who rushed over and kissed him. "Hey Asami, good to see you again," he wrapped her in a hug before looking over at the old man. "Yo old man, been a while." "Sigh, you're never going to stop calling me old, are you?" Naruto shook his head with a large grin on his face. "Sigh, so what can I help you with Naruto, since I doubt you stopped by just to talk?" "Actually I came to drop of Sora and Glacial," he handed Oak the 2 Pokeballs. "And I also need you to send my Growlithe squad to watch my house, you know, peace of mind and all that." "Very well, I'll send them over as soon as I can. Also congratulations on your daughter." Naruto smiled as the old man and kissed Asami and his 3 fox-like Pokémon before vanishing in a swirl of fire, headed to get his next badge and his last ribbon. A few days later, Naruto was walking towards Grandpa Canyon, where he heard a rumor going around that people were finding Pokémon fossils there and decided to check it out. As he neared the canyon, Naruto saw a large group of people along with 4 familiar figures. 3 were Ashley, Misty and Brock, and the final person was Gary, Professor Oak's grandson and Ashley's biggest rival, next to him. "Yo, Squirt, Ashley, what are you 2 doing?" The 2 trainers turned to face him, Ashley with a smile and Gary with a twitch in his eyes. "Stop calling me Squirt," Gary yelled before blinking at the sight of a grinning Naruto. "I can't help it if you make it too easy, Squirt," Naruto smirked at the angry twitch in the boy's eye. "By the way Ashley, you're an aunt now." Ashley and Gary's eyes widened at that. "So did she have a boy or a girl?" Gary asked. He knew about Naruto being a Hanyo and having multiple wives. Hell, Naruto was his role model in a way. "A girl, her name is Mito Uzumaki Ketchum. She has her mother's face but my hair and eyes." Ashley let out a small squeal. She couldn't wait to meet her new niece. Both Mito and Claire are at home with mom so Claire can recover and mom can help her look after Mito. Naruto, aren't you a little young to be a father?" Misty asked, a little confused since they were talking about a new baby like it was his. "Actually no, I stopped being a kid the minute I got this." He pulled out his Pokémon Ranger badge. "Besides, I actually like being a father. I get to watch my kid grow up and be there for her when she needs me." He smiled, causing the girl to blush in embarrassment. "So Naruto, what are you doing here, going to search for fossils like everyone else?" Ashley asked excitedly. "Yep, I heard a rumor that there were fossils here and decided to check it out. He chuckled as Ashley began jumping for joy before claiming him as her digging partner and dragging him up towards the canyon, the others right behind him. Naruto was letting of a lot of killing intent as he glared at the ancient Pokémon sitting on a ledge with his sister in its clutches and was glaring back at him, waiting for him to make the first move. It had been about an hour since they group had started digging when Ashley's Pikachu noticed the three idiots, as Naruto decided to name them, doing something completely idiotic. They were planting bombs. In an effort to try and stop the bomb, Naruto and Ashley chased a light fuse down into a canyon with the idiot squad, another name he came up with for them, trying to stop them, which ended when the bomb blew up and sent them into a chasm, with a bunch of rocks blocking their way out. Before Naruto could blow the rocks out of the way and get them out, he was stopped by the appearance of 8 angry Pokémon. In order to stop them from attacking, and the 3 idiots from capturing them for profit, Naruto captured them and sent them all to Oak's lab, with a warning not to release them right away. After contacting Oak and informing him not to release the 8 Pokémon right away, Naruto was about to break them out, with the help of Amaterasu and Ashley's Charmeleon, when an Aerodactyl swooped in and grabbed Ashley, before starting its face-off with him. "Alright, you want to fight, I'll give you a fight." His eyes were glowing red and he slowly took on his Hanyo form, shocking Ashley since she had only seen as twice. Naruto's eyes were glowing blood red, his hands had turned into claws, his teeth morphed into fangs, his ear vanished only for a pair of fox ears to appear on his head, and a long slender fox tail appeared behind him. "But I won't hold back." Naruto moved in a burst of speed and threw a punch at the Aerodactyl, which had dodged his attack with Ashley still in its clutches, causing him to knock down the entire cave wall, which caused a hole in the rubble blocking their escape to loosen. With a growl of annoyance, Naruto grabbed the 3 idiots that caused this mess and followed after the Pokémon holding his sister hostage, Ama and Charmeleon having flown out of the cavern with them, having grabbed Aerodactyl's tail as it flew out of the hole he caused. Screams of terror were heard as Naruto landed out of the hole, before turning to a glowing as Ama and Charmeleon both evolved into Charizard, who roared, sending jets of flames into the sky before moving to stand next to him. "Ama, Charizard, you two ready?" Both fire types roared in agreement. "Alright, let's do this." His eyes began to glow again and he began levitating of the ground, before shooting of towards the Aerodactyl, both Charizard right behind him. Naruto was glad he had learned to use Psychic in order to levitate and fly. It really helped him during his missions as a ranger. After a few minutes of flying around and firing attacks at the ancient Pokémon, she finally dropped Ashley, who was caught by her Charizard. Once Ashley was safe, Naruto quickly knocked out the Aerodactyl before capturing her and landing on the ground. Upon landing, Naruto returned to normal and using the psychic powers he learnt from Sabrina and Caitlyn, erased the minds of everyone except for Ashley, her friends and Gary. "So Naruto, what exactly happened back there?" Brock asked a few hours later as Naruto walked with his sister and her friends away from Grandpa Canyon. "Sigh, that back there is something that I don't trust you enough to know yet." That got a rather hurt look from both Brock and Misty and a slightly disappointed look from Ashley. "It's not that I don't trust you, seeing as I let you keep your memories of what you saw, it's just that I don't trust you enough to tell you yet." He gave them a small smile before waving and vanishing in a swirl of flames, heading towards his next badge. 5 days later, Naruto arrived at Cinnabar Island, which was a small quiet island with the town sitting at the base of a sleeping volcano, which he knew was where the gym was located at. So with a small smirk, seeing as very few people knew where the gym was actually located, Naruto headed towards the gym leader's hotel. "Yo, old man, are you in here?" Naruto called as he entered the hotel called the Big Riddle Inn, which was the hidden location of the gym. "Who are you calling an old man, you annoying brat? I'll have you know that I am not old," Blaine yelled as he exited the back room with a twitch in his eye. "Right, and I'm not a Hanyo with a new baby girl back home," he deadpanned since he knew that the old man knew about him. In fact, the only gym leader that didn't know about his status as a Hanyo was the leader of the Viridian City gym, Giovanni, whom was suspected of being the leader of Team Rocket. "Yes, I heard you had a kid of your own now. Congratulations, now what do you want?" Naruto sighed at the old man's attitude, seeing as it would never change. "I'm here for a battle, unless you're scared to lose." Blaine gained a twitch in his eye as he glared at Naruto. "Fine, but don't come crying to me when you lose, he snapped before leading Naruto towards the gym. Alright, this will be a 3-on-3 Pokemon battle with no time limits, are you ready, brat? I was born ready, so let's do this, Naruto cheered as he stood across from the old man in the gym arena, which was hanging over a boiling pool of magma. Fine then, let's begin. Go Nettles, the old gym leader called, releasing his first Pokemon, which gave Naruto a small bow. I figured you'd start off with a fire type. Let's go Kasumi. Naruto released Kasumi, who hovered over the arena with a smirk on her face. A Dragonair, interesting. Let's see who it does. Nettles start off with Flamethrower. Kasumi, counter it with Water Pulse. The two Pokemon fired of their attacks, which continued to cancel each other out as the two moved around the field firing off their attacks. For a few minutes the two continued with their attacks until Kasumi got in a small hit which allowed her to fire and knock out Nettles, allowing her to win the first round. Well, it seems you actually have some skills, brat, but do you think that will help you against my next Pokemon? Go Raiden. Alright Kasumi, you did good, let someone else have a turn, he smirked as he recalled the dragon Pokemon. Let's go Glacial, show them what you can do. He released the pure white ice Pokemon, which had evolved from a Sneasel to a Weavile thanks to the Razor Claw he found. Interesting, choosing an ice type against my ground type, it appears you're not going for type advantage, he smirked thinking Naruto had slipped up. Raiden, use Takedown. You're really underestimating us, old man. Glacial, dodge and use Whirlpool. Glacial vanished in a burst of speed, reappearing behind Raiden with a large swirling mass of water above her, which she threw, hitting Raiden dead center and knocking him out. Damn, you're better than I thought, he smirked as he recalled the ground-type Pokemon, Naruto doing the same with Glacial, since he knew what was coming next. But can you beat my final Pokemon? Come out, Magmar. From out of the magma burst Blaine's final Pokemon. Well then, this should be fun. Let's go Amaterasu. Naruto released the black Charizard, which roared, releasing a jet of black flames. So you're going to fight fire with fire. Very well then, Magmar. Use Flamethrower, counter with your own Flamethrower. A large explosion shook the volcano as the two attacks collided. Alright Ama, use Dragon's Claw, counter with Fire Punch. Ama's glowing claws met Magmar's blazing fist with a small explosion that sent them both backwards. Ama, use your speed and finish this off with Dragon Rush. Ama flapped her wings and with a burst of speed, appeared in front of Magmar and sent it flying into the wall beside Blaine with her glowing blue tail. Well, it seems you've beaten me, the old man smirked before throwing the badge to him. Of course that doesn't mean I'll make it easy the next time we battle. I wouldn't expect anything less, old man. Naruto smirked before hopping onto Ama's back, as she took off through the mouth of the volcano before the old man could yell that he wasn't old. High above Cinnabar Island, Naruto smirked. He had won his 5th and final ribbon 3 days ago, which qualified him for the grand festival which was taking place a week before the Pokémon League, so now all he had was one more badge and he'd be ready for it. So with that thought in mind, Naruto directed Ama towards Viridian City, where their final gym battle in the Kanto region awaited them. It was a bright, beautiful morning in the Kanto region, as Naruto sat on a hill with his sister Ashley, who was complaining about food, Misty, Ashley's friend who was trying to get his sister to help, Brock, Ashley's other friend who was cooking lunch, and Mito who was giggling at the sight of Ashley's Pikachu being chased by Misty's Togepi. Well, this is nice, Naruto commented as he held Mito on his lap. Both me and Ashley have all 8 badges, I have all 5 ribbons, and now we get to enjoy 2 months of relaxation before the Pokémon League, isn't that right, Mito? The baby giggled before blowing a spit bubble. It had been a little over a month since Naruto had gotten his badge from Blaine, and in that time Naruto had been very busy. He had helped move Claire and Mito back into the Blackthorn City gym. He had gone to the Kalos region to meet up with Diantha in one of her newest movies, as well as meet up with Karina in order to learn a little about Mega Evolution. After he had beaten the Viridian City gym, which was being run by the Idiot Brigade, which told Naruto that Giovanni was the leader of Team Rocket, Claire had gotten a call from all the female gym leaders who had dragged her on a getaway, since the deadline for getting the 8 badges was up, which left Mito with Naruto, not that they were complaining. Yeah, though I wish Ashley would help out with some of the work, Misty said, glaring at the girl. At least you have an excuse since you're holding Mito. But Misty, I'm too hungry to work, Ashley complained, getting a spite bubble from Mito, who began to giggle even more. Before anything else could be said, a random trainer walked up and asked for Ashley by name, challenging her to a battle, which she readily accepted. Well, that was certainly entertaining, wasn't it, Mito? Mito giggled as Naruto tickled her, before he covered her as a Dragonite flew overhead, with a tailwind knocking over everything. What the hell was that for? Naruto yelled at the Dragonite before freezing and looking down at Mito, who had tears welling up in her eyes, since she was still in his arms when he yelled. No, no Mito, please don't cry, Daddy didn't mean to yell, he said frantically as he gently rocked her, while releasing his tails to wrap around her. Like Kura had said, a week after he gained his last badge he had become a full-fledged demon. Once Mito had calmed down, Naruto handed her over to Misty, whom Mito seemed to like, before turning his gaze upon the Dragonite, who was sweating bullets, seeing as Naruto's eyes were glowing blood red. What the hell is your problem? Can't you see we were eating here? Naruto growled out, grabbing the Dragonite by its antenna and pulling it down to eye level. Roera, it said, getting a blank look from Naruto and a confused look from the others. Look, I don't care if you were ordered to deliver a letter to us, you don't go around interrupting people's lunch, especially when there's a baby in the group. The Dragonite frantically nodded its head and handed Naruto the letter before flying off. Well, what does it say? Ashley asked excitedly, getting a blank look from the others, which she either didn't notice or ignored. With a small sigh, Naruto opened the letter, revealing a hologram of a woman who invited them to a place called New Island, where the owner of the island, who claimed to be the strongest trainer in the world, was accepting challenges. Can we go please, Naruto, please? Ashley asked, literally jumping around in anticipation. Before he could finish nodding his head, Ashley vanished and reappeared with all of their things packed and ready to go. How did she do that? Misty asked, stunned, as Naruto took Mito back from her with a small smile, seeing as Mito had fallen asleep. There are only 3 things I know that will get Ashley motivated, enough to move that fast: my mom's cooking, a new Pokémon, or a battle with a strong trainer, he said with a smile as he began walking away with a sleeping Mito, headed towards the closest port, with Ashley falling into step with her brother. Half an hour later, Naruto was standing in the Pokémon Center letting of a small amount of killer intent. The reason? On their way to the center, a giant storm had appeared out of nowhere. Now Naruto loved the rain. What he didn't like was someone manipulating the weather and causing Mito to cry, seeing as she was crying in his arms. Don't worry, Mito. Daddy will find the mean person who created the storm and got you wet, and when I do they will know not to mess with a demon. He began releasing a powerful dark aura, which caused everyone around them to back away, while Mito went from crying to giggling. For some reason Mito always giggled when he released a dark aura of death. Kura said it was her demonic nature showing itself. Naruto, don't you think blaming someone for the rain is going a little overboard? Misty asked nervously, since she didn't see how anyone could change the weather like that. Please, you're talking to a demon with enough power to create a storm twice this size, he said, causing the 3 to pale at the thought. Besides, I can sense the powerful aura flowing through this storm and can tell you that it's not natural. The 3 teens stared at Naruto nervously. While Ashley knew her brother was powerful, it was still unnerving to hear her brother say something like that so casually, though Mito found it funny since she began giggling uncontrollably at him. Now, shall we get going to this new island? He asked, heading towards the door along with a few other trainers who were too stubborn to listen to the Coast Guard and Officer Jenny, who were saying that this was the worst storm in history. So how are we going to get to New Island? Brock asked as they stood on the port and watched as 3 other trainers released powerful-looking Pokémon which began transporting them through the storm. Simple. While you 3 were listening to Jenny talk about the storm being bad, Mito and I did a little Pokémon swap. We called Professor Oak and traded out some of my Pokémon. Naruto grabbed a Pokéball and tossed it into the air, releasing a giant white bird-like Pokémon. Guys, you all remember Sora? Sora craned her head around to stare at them before bending down and gently nuzzling Mito, who stretched out her little hand to pet her. Once they were all settled onto Sora, she spread her wings and shot into the sky, until she hovered above in front of the moon, casting a huge shadow over the earth below them. Wow, this is so cool, Ashley yelled as Sora calmly soared towards the island in the middle of the storm, where the waters were calm and peaceful. Once they landed and Naruto recalled Sora to her Pokeball, they were greeted by the woman from the hologram message, who asked them to release their Pokémon from their Pokeballs. Ashley released her Bulbasaur and Squirtle, Brock released his Vulpix, Misty released her Psyduck, while Naruto released Luca, Kura, Kushina, Amaterasu, and Kasumi, who had evolved into a Dragonite, giving him a very intimidating team. Once their Pokémon had been released, Kushina taking Mito, followed the woman to a large room where they found 3 other trainers who had managed to make it to the island. "What took you guys so long?" asked one of the 2 boys who was stroking a Pidgeotto. "Oh, we were enjoying the scenery as we flew above the storm," before glancing over at a Venusaur, Hitmonlee, Sandslash, and Scyther. "Nice team you got there." Amma gave a small snort at that before they turned their attention to a group of water Pokémon which included a Nidoqueen, Golduck, Tentacruel, Vaporeon and Gyarados. "Those are my Pokémon," said the other boy, getting their attention. "It was no problem getting through that storm. I rode over on Gyarados' back." "Wow, I hear it takes a lot of skill to train Gyarados," Ashley said, impressed, before Naruto slapped her on the back of the head. "In case you didn't know, Ashley, I have 20 Gyarados back at Oak's lab," Naruto said, getting a small sheepish look from her. "You haven't met my Pokémon, over there," said the only female trainer to show up, aside from Misty, as she pointed to a Wigglytuff, Blastoise, Dugong, Vileplume and Nettles, which walked over and bowed to Naruto, getting a strange look from the girl. Before anything else could be said, the lights all went off, which caused Mito to begin to tear up. Noticing this, Ashley, Kushina, Luca, and Kura all began trying to calm her down before she burst into tears, which led to Naruto taking her. There, Mito, don't cry. Daddy won't let anything happen to you," he said before turning his gaze to a figure who was floating down in a spotlight, causing all of the Pokémon to tense up, preparing for a fight. "Allow me to introduce you all to my master," the woman said as a figure landed on a platform behind the woman. The figure was as tall as a human with a long purple tail and cat-like features. The figure was giving of a powerful aura which put Naruto a little on edge. "Yes, my master and the world's greatest Pokémon master is also the world's strongest Pokémon, Mewtwo." At that, Naruto and his Pokémon snorted. "Is there something you find funny, human?" Mewtwo asked telepathically, releasing the woman from its control, revealing her to be Nurse Joy. "Just that you consider yourself to be the strongest Pokémon alive." He glanced at Mewtwo with a small smirk. "You see, that title belongs to my Pokémon here." He motioned at his team, who all stood tall at his words. "Is that so? Would you care to prove that?" Mewtwo asked as its eyes glowed before a hatch in the floor opened and 3 Pokémon rose out of the floor. "Allow me to introduce you to my Pokémon." The 3 Pokémon that appeared out of the floor were a Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. Once the 3 were in full view, a wall opened up to reveal a large Pokémon stadium. "Well, looks like this won't be a waste of time after all," Naruto smirked as he handed Mito back to Kushina. "Keep her safe, Mom. I'm counting on you." Kushina nodded as Naruto, Luca, Amma and Kasumi followed after Mewtwo out onto the field. "I hope you can at least make this a challenge, because we're not going to hold back." Before Mewtwo could ask what he meant, Naruto got into a crouching position before he letting out a primal roar as he changed into his full demon form. Naruto let out a powerful roar which shook the entire planet. He now stood as tall as Mewtwo and was covered in snow-white fur, while 9 tails thrashed behind him before merging into one single tail which slammed into the ground, causing the island to shake. "What are you?" Mewtwo asked with feminine tone, having dropped the tough guy act and revealing herself to be female. "Me? I'm nothing special, just your average demon," Naruto said, nodding his head, causing his Pokémon to shoot at Mewtwo's cloned Pokémon while Naruto himself headed straight for Mewtwo. "Well, this should be interesting to watch," Kura said, taking her human form as Ashley and her friends, along with the other 3 trainers, watched in awe and horror at the fight going on in front of them. "You're right, I just hope Claire doesn't find out that Naruto brought little Mito into a battlefield," Kushina said, also taking her human form and watching as Naruto and Mewtwo went at it, not with Pokémon attacks but with pure taijutsu. "Though you have to admit his skills in taijutsu have really improved," Kura nodded while Mito giggled and laughed at the sight of the fight. "It seems like Mito's enjoying herself." The 2 smiled down at the Hanyo, who managed to release her ears and tail in her excitement. "Well, would you look at that, only a few months old and she's already showing her demon heritage." Kura chuckled as she scratched Mito behind the ears, causing the infant to purr, which caused the 2 to giggle. "Wow, this is so cool." Ashley yelled as she cheered for Naruto, ignoring the fact that everyone else was watching in stunned silence. Well, this is certainly entertaining, Naruto panted as he landed in the middle of the arena across from Mewtwo, who was panting just as hard as him. But it looks like it's time for me to stop playing around. They both glanced around and saw that all of Naruto's Pokémon, while a little beat up, had beaten Mewtwo's Pokémon and were waiting for Naruto to finish his fight. I don't understand. Naruto glanced at Mewtwo, who was glaring at him. Why are you putting so much on the line for human? Naruto saw the anger and confusion in her eyes, as well as a little bit of hurt and longing. With her emotions running wild, Naruto entered her mind. He saw how she was created, then used as a weapon for Giovanni, before she kicked him out of her mind. While entering her mind gave him a glimpse of her past, it also showed her his past before he came to this world, and all of the memories he made growing up in this world. Get out of my head, she yelled, sending out a shockwave that shook the stadium. The reason I'm putting so much on the line is because the humans, they saved me from myself. She stopped at that and looked at him. I don't remember much from my old world, but what I do remember is pain and a lot of it. But then I came here, and I was taken in by the Ketchum family. I made friends and a family of my own. They both gazed up at Ashley, Kura, Kushina and Mito, who were smiling at them. That's why I'll put my life on the line, not just for the human and the Pokémon, but for my family. With that he shot at her like a rocket and hit her in the stomach, sending her into the wall. It looks like I lost this battle, Mewtwo thought as she slipped into unconsciousness. Naruto Uzumaki, you will be an interesting trainer. Once Mewtwo hit the floor, Naruto threw a Pokeball at her and captured her without a struggle, before capturing her Pokémon as well, all of whom were sent to Oak's lab. Well, that sure was an interesting fight. Naruto turned to see Kura and Kushina walking up to him with a giggling Mito. Though you know that when Claire hears that you brought Mito into a war zone that you're going to be in trouble. Naruto paled at that as he glanced around the arena, which was in ruins, then paled even more at the thought of what Claire and the others were going to do to him when they found out Naruto had taken Mito on a potentially life-threatening trip. If they learned that, then he'd be in the doghouse until Mito became a trainer. Please don't tell the others, I'll do anything, he said as he returned to his human form, getting a small smirk from the two, which sent chills down his spine. Anything? They asked, which caused Naruto to swallow a lump in his throat before slowly nodding. Very well, then we'll keep quiet, and call in our favor when you aren't looking after Mito, Kura said, which sent another chill down his spine. With a small nod of his head, Naruto recalled all of his Pokémon, took Mito, and floated into the air before using his psychic powers, which had grown in strength once he became a full demon, and wiped the memories from everyone who had received an invitation to New Island, except for Ashley and her friends, before teleporting them all back to the Pokémon Center. It was a bright and beautiful day, the sun was shining, the Pokémon were active, and a large crowd sat waiting patiently as one Naruto Ketchum stood in the center of the Pokémon arena preparing to play an opening song. Naruto stood in the center of the Pokémon League stadium with his guitar at the ready. Around him stood his band as they prepared to open this year's Pokémon League. You guys ready for this? Naruto glanced over at his band, who all nodded their head. Then let's rock this house, he strummed his guitar. Play. 2B. A. Master. Go. Go. Woo. So you want to be a Pokémon master? I got to be the one, the only one who can withstand the test and be the best in. I got to strive, keep up the drive. Be a master. It takes certain kind of skill. And I won't stop until 150 Pokémon are mine. I must define the art of capture of all Pokémon. To be a master, Pokémon master. I will be written a brand new chapter. Pokeball go, go, all the children sing. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. It's all about the evolution of Pokémon. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Pokeball go, go, Pokémon. Got my badges and my Pokeball. Got my buddy Pikachu to help me try to catch 'em all. Yo, it's all about the evolution of the Pokémon. The training, attaining and being part of the phenomenon. Be a Poke Master icon, ha. Team Rocket will be long gone. But first you gotta know about the different types. Grass, fire, ground, flame, electric, water, rock, flying, ice, normal, bug, ghost, fighting and dragon. Don't forget about Psychic. To be a master, Pokémon Master. I will be written a brand new chapter. To be a master, Pokémon Master. I will be striving to the greatest master. Pokeball go, go, all the children sing. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. It's all about the evolution of Pokémon. Na 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 na. 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 Greatest master of Pokémon. The music slowed and the Naruto lowered his head, taking on a dark tone. Somewhat impressive. Now you've reached your plateau. But not yet a hero. Are you ready to meet and defeat the elite? Can I expect survival against your rival? And remember, gotta catch 'em all. Show me what you've got. The crowd cheered as the music picked back up. Pokeball go, go, Pokeball go. To be a master, Pokémon Master. I will be written a brand new chapter. To be a master, Pokémon Master. I will be striving to be the greatest master. Pokémon Master. The greatest master, Pokémon Master. The greatest chapter. Sing it. Na 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 na. The greatest master of Pokémon. The crowd cheered as the song came to an end, and all of the trainers swelled as they caught the true meaning of Naruto's song, to never give up as a trainer, even if you don't win. Thank you, Naruto, the league director said, walking onto the stage, getting a nod from Naruto as he backed up to give the director space. Now, let this year's Pokémon League begin. The crowd cheered as the trainers moved off the field in order to get their first match of the day. So that's how this works. Interesting, Naruto thought as he looked over the board that held the lineups. There were 120 trainers participating in the league. They would each have a 3-on-3 battle against different opponents. In order for them to move on to the next round, they had to win 3 battles, but if they lost 3, they were out. Well then, let's see who my first opponent is. Naruto found his name and found that his opponent was a guy named Richard. Smirking at that, Naruto went over and registered the 3 Pokemon he was going to be using for the first round. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the battles so far have been intense, but let's see if our next 2 competitors can keep up the enthusiasm we've seen today, the announcer called out. First, from Pallet Town, we have Naruto Ketchum. The crowd cheered as Naruto walked onto the field, hold Mito in his arms, getting "Awes" from the crowd. And his opponent, Richard of Lavender Town. Again the crowd roared in anticipation. Are both trainers ready? The ref asked, getting a nod from the 2. Then let the battle begin, he yelled, raising a red and green flag. Let's show them what we got. Rhyhorn, Richard yelled, calling out his first Pokemon. Are you ready, Mito? Mito, who was playing with a Pokeball, giggled before tossing the Pokeball, releasing Kasumi, who walked over and nuzzled Mito. Alright Kasumi, I'll let you play with Mito after this battle. Alright, Kasumi nodded her head before turning towards her opponent, who was staring at her with wide eyes. Well, since you seem a little stunned by my first Pokemon, I guess I'll start as a Kasumi. Use Dragon Pulse. Kasumi fired a purplish beam at the Rhyhorn, knocking it out before anything else could happen. The crowd was silent for a moment before they burst into cheers as the ref declared Kasumi the winner of the first match. Amazing! Dragonite knocked out Rhyhorn with one attack. That's the kind of power you expect from a Dragon-type Pokemon, the commentator said as Kasumi moved over and took Mito from Naruto, who chuckled at the Dragon type. She was very protective of Mito. It's not over yet. Go Machamp, Richard yelled as he called on his second Pokemon. Well, since Kasumi is busy holding Mito, I guess I'll let my next Pokemon have some fun. Naruto grabbed the Pokeball from his belt. Let's go Sadao. Naruto released Gallade. How looked at his opponent, boredom evident in his eyes as he glanced at Naruto with a look that said, really? Sai, consider it a warm-up. After this match we can go and have a real fight. Sadao nodded at that before turning to face his opponent. Let the second match between Machamp and Gallade begin, the ref said. The second the match started, Sadao was in front of Machamp and began using it as a punching bag, before sending it into a wall behind its trainer, where it lay unconscious. The winner is Gallade, the ref said, stunned as Sadao walked over and sat next to Kasumi and Mito, a bored look on his face. Maybe bringing the strongest Pokemon I have wasn't such a good idea, Naruto must, ignoring the commentator, while his opponent brought out Nidoking. Oh well, nothing I can do about it now, he shrugged as he grabbed his third Pokemon. Dance around these fools, Asami, Naruto called out his Gardevoir, who had the same bored look on her face as her twin. Let the final match begin, the ref said before a purple blur created a hole in the wall, as Asami threw the Nidoking with a wave of her arms before walking over to Mito, who began giggling at the psychic type. Yeah, definitely a bad idea to bring you three, he said, shaking his head at his Pokémon while the ref declared him the winner of the first match while the crowd cheered. Sigh, oh well, nothing I can do about it now, he said, walking off the field with his Pokémon, waiting for the rest of the tournament get underway. Naruto smiled as the crowd around him burst into cheers. The reason was the third day of the Pokémon League, the second round, and Ashley had just managed to come out on top over Gary Oak. Well, that certainly was an interesting battle, Professor Oak said as Ashley cheered and hugged her Charizard in joy. It was intense, that's for sure, Naruto said, nodding his head when Ashley looked over at him and their mom, who was holding a giggling Mito. She's gotten a lot stronger since she started this journey, but I wonder, is she strong enough to face her next opponent? With a small sigh, Naruto took Mito and stood up, leaving the arena in order to prepare for the next day, seeing as he would be facing Ashley next. It had been 3 days since the beginning of the Pokémon League, and Naruto and his team were, for lack of a better word, bored. The league was actually a letdown compared to what they were expecting. Over the past 2 days, Naruto and his team had only seen 4 people that would qualify as a challenge to them, the first being Gary and the second being Ashley. Another trainer that caught their attention was Nisha, the girl they had met on New Island, who was blowing through her battles rather easily. The last person to catch their interest was a boy named Red, who had a lot of powerful Pokémon himself. So who should I use in my battle against Ashley? Naruto wondered as he looked at all of his gathered Pokémon that Oak had brought using a portable Poke Lab that Naruto had invented. Luca and Amaterasu are a given. Luca wants to face her Pikachu and Ama wants to face her Charizard, but the rest of her team are the real question. Naruto glanced around at all of his Pokémon, trying to come up with different scenarios and battle planes. He knew that Ashley would be mad if he didn't take a battle with her seriously, and he wanted to give her the best battle he could, since it would be her last in this year's Pokémon League. After an hour of talking it over with his Pokémon and playing a little with Mito in order to get his mind of the battle, Naruto decided on his team for the next day, before heading to get dinner with Mito sound asleep in his arms. So are you nervous about tomorrow? Naruto glanced up from feeding Mito to see Claire standing before him, along with Valerie, the leader of the Viridian City gym in the Kalos region, and Janine, who had taken over as the Fuchsia City gym leader when Koga was asked to join the Elite Four. No, not nervous, more like anxious, he smirked as he handed Mito to Claire as the 3 gym leaders sat down. I want to give Ashley a battle to remember, since tomorrow's going to be her last battle, but I don't want to let down my own Pokémon either. We may have lost the Grand Festival in the final rounds, but that doesn't mean we're going to lose the Pokémon League. The 3 smiled at that. They all remembered the loss at the Grand Festival. Naruto and Ama were in the final round against a trainer who also had a Charizard. Halfway through the battle, Naruto decided to Mega Evolve Ama using the Charizardite X stone Ama was holding. The thing he wasn't expecting was his opponent to do the same with a Charizardite Y stone. The final battle in the festival was a battle between the 2 Mega Evolved forms of Charizard, with his opponents winning due to a double knockout where Ama fell first. That wasn't your fault, Naruto. There was no way you could know that another trainer had the capability of Mega Evolution, Janine said, trying to cheer him up. Besides, this isn't a contest battle to show of beauty and power, this is a league battle to show of power and skills, both of which you have in spades. Janine's right, Naruto. You did the best you could in the festival, but you have to remember something. The 3 turned to see Kura walking up to them with Kushina and Delia. No matter how strong you and your Pokémon become, there's always someone stronger than you out there, which mean you always have room to grow and become stronger. Thanks, I needed that, he smiled as he stood up, before kissing all of the girls there and heading off to his room that he shared with Claire. He needed to rest in order to be prepared for tomorrow. The next morning, as the sun hung high in the sky, the crowd cheered in anticipation of the battle between the famous Naruto Ketchum and his opponent Ashley Ketchum, his sister. Down on the field, Naruto stood staring at Ashley, the noise of the crowd vanishing as they stared at each other in preparation of the battle. I hope you realize that I'm not going to go easy on you, Naruto smirked as the only thing that mattered at that moment in time was his opponent. I'd be insulted if you did, Ashley smirked back as the two glanced over at the ref, nodding for him to start the battle. This is a 6-on-6 battle between Naruto Ketchum and Ashley Ketchum, both if Pallet Town, with no time limit. Let the battle begin. The ref raised his flags to begin the match. Bulbasaur, I chose you. Let go Rose, show them how we bloom, the two called out, releasing their first Pokémon. Well folks, it looks like this is going to be a battle of the evolutionary chain, as Ashley chose her Bulbasaur while Naruto chose his Venusaur, Rose. Both are strong competitors and have proven themselves time and again in their battles, the announcer said as the crowd cheered. Bulbasaur, use Razor Leaf. Counter with your own Razor Leaf. A storm of leaves covered the field as the two grass types went head to head. So who do you think will win? Delia asked as she sat next to Claire and Mito, while some of the other girls listened in as they watched the battle. I'm going to say Naruto and Rose. The others looked over at Gardenia, who was watching the battle of grass types intently. While Bulbasaur has the advantage with speed due to its size, Rose has the power and range factors working for it, not to mention that she still has her Mega Evolution. It sounds like an unfair battle if you ask me. I mean, Naruto has his Mega Evolution, which Sycamore is still trying to study. Everyone turned to see Ivy and Juniper arriving. Yes, I suppose that would make it unfair, but knowing Ashley, she'd be mad if Naruto held back even a little, Oak said as they all focused on the battle. All right Rose, time to end this. Naruto held up his wrist, which had a bracelet on it. Touching the bracelet, Rose began to glow as she Mega evolved before letting out a roar. Now end this with Solar Beam. Use Solar Beam as well. The crowd watched with bated breath as the two grass types fired their attacks, causing a huge explosion and dust to cover the field. Bulbasaur is unable to battle. The winner of the first match goes to Naruto. The crowd exploded as the dust cleared to reveal that Bulbasaur had been knocked out. Well, looks like the first battle goes to me. Ashley nodded quietly as they both recalled their Pokémon. Maybe, but I'm not through yet. Let's go Pidgeotto. Why not say hi to a friend? Go Gale. Ashley took a hesitant step back as the prehistoric Pokémon roared. Why are you using her? Naruto smirked, seeing the fear in Ashley's eyes, proving that she remembered the day he caught Aerodactyl, or Gale. I've been working with her a lot since that day at Grandpa Canyon, and I've gotten her to mellow out a lot. He smirked as Gale took flight. Now Gale, use Steel Wing. Counter it with your own Steel Wing. The crowd roared as the two flying Pokémon clashed against each other, sparks flying every time they met. Well, Pidgeottos go this battle. The group of gym leaders looked over at Winona, the gym leader of Fortree City in the Hoenn region. That is, unless Gale knows something really strong. What do you mean? Claire asked curiously. She had watched as Naruto trained Gale, and knew that she was strong, which made her wonder what Winona meant. While it is true that Gale is powerful and has her size on her side, you have to remember, Pidgeotto's been with Ashley since she started her journey, and has had more training in battle, not to mention he's a lot faster. Everyone glance up at the aerial battle. Gale has a higher attack strength, but because of Pidgeotto's speed, she's taking more damage than she's giving. Winona's words proved true as Gale crashed to the ground, followed by Pidgeotto, both Pokémon picking up dust as they landed. As the dust cleared, everyone watched as the two Pokémon struggled to remain conscious. Damn, I didn't think Pidgeotto would be this strong. Got to finish this and fast. Gale, end this with Hyper Beam. Gale opened her mouth and fired an orange beam at Pidgeotto, knocking him out, before fainting herself. Both Aerodactyl and Pidgeotto are unable to battle. The ref yelled as the crowd cheered, the anticipation of the next battle heavy in the air. Well now, this is starting to get interesting. Didn't think you'd be this strong, Ash. Naruto smirked at seeing the twitch of anger his sister had at her nickname. Yeah, well, I don't plan on losing yet. Let's go Tauros. The bull Pokémon snorted in anticipation of the battle. I figured you'd use a Tauros, but he's no match against my Pokémon. Let's go Tora. Everyone stared in awe at the buffalo Pokémon as she snorted, ready to begin. That's not going to scare us. Tauros, start off with Horn Attack. Tora, you use Horn Attack as well. The two normal-type Pokémon snorted as they charged at each other, sending out shock waves every time they clashed. Well, now this is interesting. The gym leaders turned to face Oak as he watched the battle. Naruto is matching Ashley Pokémon for Pokémon, but why? That's an easy question to answer. Everyone turned to Delia, who was smiling as she watched the two enjoy a Pokémon battle on equal terms. Even though he hasn't trained with her a lot, he knows her just as well as she knows herself, both as a person and a trainer. They both know that Naruto is stronger and more skilled as a trainer, which is why he's matching her. He's bringing himself down to her level while still staying out of her reach and matching her, giving her something to strive for. Everyone cheered as another shock wave shook the stadium as the two normal-type Pokémon clashed. Naruto's just like that, he's trying to teach her while also having fun. Delia smiled as she remembered the two of them as kids. Alright Tora, time to finish this off. Giga Impact, Tauros, use Takedown to finish this. The two Pokémon charged at each other, before a cloud of dust was thrown up upon impact. Tauros is unable to battle. The winner of the third match is Naruto. The ref called once the smoke cleared, showing that Tauros was still standing, though a little wobbly. We will now have a 10-minute break for a field change. Sigh man, I didn't think she had grown this strong since our battle in Celadon. Naruto thought as he sat on a bench on his side of the field while watching as Ashley talked to both Brock and Misty. Though that's all going to change when it comes to our last two Pokémon, Luca vs. Pikachu and Amma vs. Charizard, two very interesting battles. So, how are you feeling? Naruto turned to see Claire walking out of the tunnel leading to the locker rooms on his side of the field, Mito giggling in her mother's arms. 5 of the 10-minute break had already passed and the crowd was anxious for the intense battle between siblings to commence. I'm fine, just never expected Ashley to be this strong, Naruto smiled, taking Mito as Claire sat next to him. I mean, she was able to take down Gale and almost took out Tora. If her last 3 Pokémon are who I think they are, then this should be fun. Well, the girls and me are cheering for you, isn't that right Mito? Mito started to giggle before turning her head to the side. Curious as to what caught their daughter's attention, the two turned to see Pikachu smiling at them with Ashley standing next to her. Yo Ash, what's up? Naruto smirked at the twitch his sister gained at the use of her nickname. Naruto, tell me the truth, are you taking this battle seriously? All noise ceased as Naruto narrowed his eyes at his sister, who had the first truly serious look on her face that Naruto had seen in a long time. Why would you ask something you already know the answer to? Ashley tensed a little, hearing the anger in her brother's voice, before shaking it off. Because, so far in our battles you've been matching me move for move, using Pokémon that are similar to mine, but none of your main team, the ones I saw you use against Mewtwo or Cynthia, Ashley said as tears began to form in her eyes, causing Naruto to let out a small sigh as what she meant hit him. Sigh. Look Ashley, I'll only say this once, the Pokémon I've used so far are here because they chose to battle you. To see if everything the gym leaders have been saying about you is true. Ashley had a confused look on her face at that. Sigh, as you know I am on good terms with most if not all the gym leaders in every region, and they like to brag to each other when they win a battle or warn the others if there's a trainer they think is strong. Because of my connection with the gym leaders I have heard all about the challengers they thought of as strong, and out of everyone, you were the most talked about, not because you're my sister, but because you trust your Pokémon and were able to overcome every obstacle that they threw at you. They talked about how you and your Pokémon had strong bonds, each one was different, but they all lead to one thing, you and your Pokémon becoming stronger. While I was choosing my team for today, I told them everything I had heard about you from all of the Kanto gym leader. When they heard these things they chose to battle you and your team, and Asami and the rest let them. They wanted to test you to see if everything they had heard about you was true, and so far it's proven true. Ashley took a small step back at seeing her brother angry. Normally when people made her brother angry they didn't last long. So don't say that we're going easy on you because all of my Pokémon are giving it their all, which means that you and your Pokémon have gotten stronger seeing as you were able to take down Gale and Tauros on her last leg. Naruto turned away from his sister who was staring at him in shock. But that doesn't mean that the rest of these battles will be easy. My last 3 Pokémon are stronger than the first 3. Don't worry, we won't make this battle easy for you to win, Naruto smirked as Ashley wiped the tears away. Before you go, catch, Ashley caught the box that Naruto tossed her with a confused look on her face, which only increased when she opened it to reveal a pink stone and a bracelet similar to Naruto's own. I'm going to let you borrow that to use with Charizard, don't disappoint me. Amma's been waiting for a match against her for a while now, and if you disappoint her, well let's just say it won't be pretty. Ashley shuddered at the thought of what Naruto and Amma would do to her. During the 3-month break after getting her 8th badge, Ashley and her Pokémon had spent time learning about all of Naruto's Pokémon while he played with Mewtwo. Out of all of Naruto's Pokémon there were 6 that scared her enough to know they meant what they said. The first 3 were Luca, Kura and Kushina. Ashley knew to never piss them off, since she had seen what they did to people that did, such as Gary. The next 3 were Amma, Kasumi and Asami. While they weren't as powerful as the first 3, they were just as scary. Right, you don't have to worry, me and Charizard will give it our all, she smiled before running back to her side of the arena as the ref stepped forward, indicating that the 10 minutes were up. So, are you going to stay down here or head back up to the stands? Naruto asked Claire as stood up, and walked to the competitor's box. I think we'll stay down here. Mito's been enjoying watching her daddy and his Pokémon battle, and if we stay down here we'll have a better view, she said, bouncing Mito on her lap as the infant laughed. With a smirk on his face, Naruto entered the box and stared at Ashley, who had a determined look in her eyes, causing his smirk to widen. We will now begin the second round. This battle will take place on a grass field, the ref called out as the field changed from a plain field to a grassy plain with rocks and boulders scattered everywhere. Let the battle begin. Let's go Squirtle, Tide, show them your power. As the tiny turtle Pokémon appeared in front of Ashley, both gasped as a Blastoise appeared in front of Naruto, glaring down at the smaller turtle with an interested look. When did you get her? Ashley asked in shock at the sight of another fully evolved version of her Pokémon. I took a trip to the Orange Islands and found Tide here lying unconscious on the beach, her Pokeball next to her indicating she was abandoned, so I nursed her back to health, captured her and trained her. Within a month she evolved from a Squirtle to a Blastoise. Tide gave a small smirk at the smaller Pokémon. Now start us with Water Gun. Block it with Water Gun. The 2 water types attacked, causing the crowd to cheer as the second round began. So who do you think will win this one? Janine asked as the battle began. The 2 water types fire water guns and hydro pumps at each other with the occasional ice beam from Tide. Naruto. The group of gym leaders and professors turned to see Lorelei standing there with a smirk. What makes you say that? Delia asked, though she already had an idea as to her answer. Because Naruto trained her at my cottage. I even battled against her when I wasn't battling random trainers. The group knew that if Tide battled people like Lorelei then she must be strong. Alright Tide, time to end this, Naruto said, raising his wrist into the air and pressing the Mega Evolution Stone, causing Tide to Mega Evolve. Finish this with Hydro Cannon. Squirtle use Withdraw, Ashley yelled as Tide began charging as the cannon on her back, before firing the water attack at the smaller water Pokémon, sending it into the stadium wall. Squirtle is unable to battle. The winner is Tide. The crowd cheered as the smoke cleared to reveal Squirtle, who had been knocked out. Man, I didn't think things would turn out like this, Ashley said to Pikachu as she recalled Squirtle and watched Naruto recall Tide. You know who his last 2 Pokémon are, right? Yeah, I know. If I go out there I'm up against Luca, and if you send Charizard out she'll be up against Amma, Pikachu said, getting a nod from Ashley. So are you ready for this? Pikachu nodded before running onto the field, ready for the fight she knew was coming. So you decided to save Charizard for the final match, so be it, let's go Luca, Naruto yelled as Luca appeared standing tall and looking at Pikachu, who had a determined look on her face. So, it's going to be the 2 of us before Charizard and Amma. Alright then, let's start, Luca said, stretching as she waited for the ref to start the battle. Let the 5th match begin between Lucario and Pikachu. Begin. A cloud of dust exploded in the center of the field before Pikachu ran out with Luca hot on her tail. Come on, stop running, Luca yelled, going for a punch, which Pikachu dodged before releasing a thunderbolt, which hit Luca. The crowd watched in awe as the thunderbolt hit Luca, before she shook it off like it was a fly, before she charged at the electric type again, before being hit with another round of thunderbolts. Man, this is really getting annoying, Luca thought as she shook off another thunderbolt from Pikachu. Alright, that's it, she yelled before being surrounded by a white glow, vanishing in a burst of speed, only to reappear behind Pikachu and send her flying with a thunder punch. So you're not going to give Luca any commands? Claire asked from her seat while Naruto stood watching the battle unfold. No, Luca wanted to battle on her own, so I agreed to let her fight with no commands, he said as Luca began firing aura spheres at the smaller Pokémon. Ashley understands this, which is why she's not giving Pikachu any orders either. Claire's eyes widened as she realized he was right. Ashley hadn't given Pikachu any orders yet. Ashley, aren't you going to give Pikachu an order? Misty asked from her seat behind Ashley, as they watched Pikachu dodge a low kick before she was sent flying by an uppercut. No, she glanced back at her two friends before turning back to the battle. This round is different than the others. It's a match between our starting Pokémon. If I give even one command, it's basically giving Luca the match. Misty fell silent at the seriousness in Ashley's tone. She had never seen her this serious about anything before. Will you stay still already? Luca yelled as Pikachu dodged another of her attacks. Both of them were panting as the battle began to drag out longer than she was actually planning. It seemed Pikachu was stronger than she looked. Fine, if you want me to stay still, then let's end this with one last attack. Luca's ears perked up at this. Pikachu was willing to bet everything on one last attack. Sounds good to me. Luca smirked as she began to charge up a hyper beam while sparks flew around Pikachu as she prepared for a thunder attack. Well, looks like this is about to end this, Naruto said as he picked up Mewtwo, who had crawled over to him. Without another word, the two fired their strongest attacks, hitting their opponent and covering the arena in a cloud of dust. As the dust began to clear, Naruto's eyes widened in surprise at seeing Pikachu slowly rising on shaky legs while Luca stood frozen, paralyzed by the thunder attack, otherwise mostly unharmed. Well, now this is interesting. It looks like Pikachu's stronger than she looks. Naruto watched as the electric type struggled to stand while the paralysis holding Luca began to fade. But it doesn't matter. The moment that her paralysis wears of this battle is as good as done. A second later, Luca shook her head to clear it of the remaining paralysis just as Pikachu fainted from exhaustion. Well, that was an interesting battle, wouldn't you say, Luca? Naruto asked as his first Pokémon walked over to him with a pleased look on her face as she took Mewtwo, who was reaching for her, from Naruto with a smile. Yes, it seems her Pikachu is stronger than we thought. She smiled down at Mewtwo, who smiled back. I know you plan to use that during the last match, just be careful, alright? Naruto nodded as Luca sat next to Claire while Ashley stepped back into the competitor's box after having Misty look after Pikachu. You ready for this? Naruto asked, pulling out his final Pokeball. Yeah, I'm ready and I'm not holding back. Ashley pulled out her final Pokeball, which held her last chance to impress her brother with how strong her and her Pokémon had become. Alright then, let's do this. Go Amaterasu, don't hold anything back, Charizard. The two fire types appeared in the center of the arena and let loose a jet of flames into the air as they roared, before they glared at each other. Let the final battle between Charizard and Charizard begin, the ref called, causing both trainers to raise their wrist and press the Mega Evolution stones. The crowd stared in awe as for the second time in less than a month two Mega Evolved Charizard stood before them, Naruto's becoming a Mega Charizard X while Ashley's became a Mega Charizard Y. Alright, let's get this started, Naruto said as his eyes began to glow as they stared straight into Ashley's eyes, causing her body to freeze up, while both Amma and Charizard tensed, their eyes closing, before their bodies relaxed. What's going on? Ashley asked, a little panicked as her vision returned to her, only to find herself standing in front of Amma. Nice, isn't it? Ashley's eyes widened as she heard Naruto's voice coming from Amma. I call this synchronizing. It's something that can only be done when there are two Mega Evolved Pokémon of the same type on the field. Synchronizing. Ashley looked at her hands, only to see claws. Turning her head, her eyes widened as she saw herself still standing in the competitor's box, her eyes glowing, before she turned back to Naruto. Amma. Synchronizing is, as I said, something that can only happen when two Mega Evolved Pokémon of the same type are on the field. What it does is it connects the Pokémon and their trainers on a deeper level than the regular Mega Evolution. When synchronization happens, the trainer and their Pokémon become one, two souls sharing the same body for a period of time. During that time the trainer and their Pokémon fight as one. Ashley's eyes widened as Charizard's body tensed. She could tell Charizard was ready for this. Now, let's begin. Amma spread her wings as she lunged as Charizard, who jumped back and took to the skies with Amma following right behind her. Running won't save you in this battle. Now Amma, let use Flamethrower. Ashley. Charizard barely dodged the jet of dark blue flames as both Pokémon stopped high above the arena and glared at each other. I think I get it now. Even though we share the same body for now, I still need to give Charizard commands as if I were on the ground. The only thing that this really does is allow me to feel and experience what Charizard does. Alright then, Charizard use Flamethrower. Counter with your own Flamethrower Ama. The two fire types released a jet of flames at each other, creating an explosion. Nice try Ashley, but this isn't like the other battles you've fought before, Naruto Ama said as they appeared out of the smoke caused by the explosion and sent a punch at Ashley Charizard, who dodged and swung at them with their tail, only for it to be caught by Naruto who began spinning them before throwing them back towards the stadium. Wow, this is intense, Claire said as she watched the two fight in the air along with the rest of the spectators. So is this the synchronizing that Naruto told me about? Yes, currently both Naruto and Ashley are battling each other in Ama and Charizard. The simplest thing to compare it to would be those shows with the giant robots. Naruto and Ashley are synced with both Ama and Charizard. They give the commands from inside their mind but feel every attack they take. Claire's eyes widened at Luca's explanation. From what she gathered of Naruto's explanation of it and what Luca had just told her, this battle was a lot more dangerous than the previous battles they had. Damn, this is tougher than I thought. I knew Charizard was her strongest Pokémon, but I didn't think this battle would be that intense. It's because they both want your approval and praise. You can see it in their eyes. Naruto glanced at Ashley, Charizard who were hovering across from them and panting in exhaustion. Ashley wants your approval not just as your sister but also as one of your mates. You've been with all of your human mates except for her and she feels that you don't see her potential yet. The same can be said for Charizard though the road of her desire come from something else. Single quote. I see your point, and I guess I have been neglecting Ashley since we started our journeys, but that doesn't change the fact that we're going to win this battle. With a loud roar the two resumed their battle, picking up speed as they continued to clash. The crowd roared in excitement as both Pokémon battled it out, trading blows and jets of fire, before everyone gasped and Ama appeared behind Charizard and began spinning, preparing for a seismic toss. Suddenly the crowd gasped as the two Pokémon headed for the ground at insane speeds, before they both hit the ground, sending up a huge cloud of dust which covered the field. While the dust cloak was up both Ama and Charizard returned to normal, allowing Naruto and Ashley to return to their bodies, before both fell face first, just as the dust began to settle. Come on Ama, stand up you can do it, come on Charizard, don't let Ama beat you, both Ketchums yelled as their final Pokémon struggled to stand. With one last roar, both Pokémon stood up before falling on their backs unconscious. Both Pokémon are unable to battle. The winner of this match and the person moving on to the next round is Naruto Uzumaki of Pallet Town. The crowd went wild as the most intense match they had seen since the beginning of the Pokémon League came to a close, both trainers recalling their Pokémon and walking to the center of the field. Are you alright Ashley? Naruto asked as he reached the center of the field, along with Ashley, who had her head down with her bangs covering her eyes. Yeah I'm fine, just upset that I couldn't give you a better battle, she said not lifting her head, only to look up as Naruto put his hand on her head. You know it's not good to sell yourself short like that, he chuckled at her confused look. Since the start of this tournament, there hasn't been one person that has given any of my Pokémon a decent battle, until today. You were the first person to actually take out not just one but two of my girls. That's something to be proud of and as your brother, I'm glad to call you my rival. With tears in her eyes, Ashley threw her arms around Naruto, a smile on her face, at finally getting her brother's approval. Though she knew she had it since they were little, this was the first time he had voiced it since they began their journey. Thanks, but you have to promise me one thing. Naruto raised his eyebrow at that. Promise me that you'll win and become the Pokémon champion of the Kanto region. I promise, and you know I don't go back on my word because that's my ninja way. They both said the last part together before they burst out laughing. Naruto made that creed Naruto wore a small smile as he stood next to Ashley, Professor Oak, Delia and Claire, as the citizens of Pallet Town gathered in the back PF Oak's laboratory to celebrate the return of Naruto and Ashley, as well as congratulate him on winning the Pokémon League. I want to thank everyone here for supporting me and my girls throughout the Pokémon League, Naruto said stepping forward and giving a small bow. It's been 8 years since I became a member of the Ketchum family and moved to Pallet, and even though I wasn't born here, everyone in town treated me like family and supported me throughout the years, whether it was support of my music or my Pokémon training. all of you supported me and for that I thank you all." The citizens of Pallet all clapped at Naruto's words. "I want to thank everyone who supported me throughout the Pokémon League as well," Ashley said, stepping forward. "And even though I lost, at least I lost to my brother," she smiled as she linked her arm with Naruto. "I'd like to give my thanks to both Ashley and Naruto for representing us in the Pokémon League," Oak smiled. "And Professor Oak for hosting us here today. Now let's party," Delia grinned, getting a cheer of agreement from the citizens of Pallet. "Before we begin, I'd like to salute Ashley for finishing in the top 16 and doing Pallet Town proud," the people of Pallet cheered. "I'd also like to salute Naruto for winning this year's Pokémon League. Both have done Pallet Town proud." Again the crowd cheered before everyone began to party. "Man, this is some party." Naruto smirked as Gardenia and Skyla dug into the food, both being the only two gym leaders, aside from Claire, that had been able to make it to the party. "I know, I can't remember the last time I had food this good," Skyla said, seeing as she had spent the last few months flying cargo plans, before the Pokémon League that is. "Well, Pallet Town does know how to throw a party," Claire smiled as Mito drained her 5th bottle. "True, though, what's a party without some music?" Naruto smiled as he grabbed his guitar and motioned for his Pokémon to get ready. "Yo, who wants to hear some music?" The people of Pallet Town cheered as Naruto and his band prepared to play. "I own none of the songs. Let's do it. I wanna be the very best. Like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. My whole life has led to this. It's time to test my skills. I know I just can't miss. Go and show the world. Born to be a winner. Born to be a champion. Born to be a winner. Born to be the very best. Pokémon Johto. Born to be a winner. Pokémon. Every challenge along the way. With courage I will face. I will battle every day. To claim my rightful place. Come with me, the time is right. There's no better team. Arm in arm we'll win the fight. Go and live our dream. Born to be a winner. Born to be a champion. Born to be a winner. Born to be the very best. I was born to be a winner. Born to be a champion. Born to be a winner. Born to be the very best. Born to be a winner. Born to be a winner. Pokémon." The crowd and the Pokémon cheered as they began to play another song. "A kid from Pallet Town. With a brand new world to see. Don't know what's ahead, but it won't get the best of me. There's so much to learn. And battles to be won. I've advanced so far. But still there's always more to come. Take a step and I'm on my way. Go and start all over again. I wanna be a hero. Pokémon Advanced. I wanna be a hero. Give me just one chance. And the future will decide. If there's a hero buried deep inside. I wanna be a hero. Pokémon." Naruto smiled as at the crowd and was about to start another song when something caught his eye. "What the hell is that?" he asked, drawing everyone's attention to a hot air balloon in the shape of a Meowth's head was floating towards them. "Not them again," Ashley said, getting a raised eyebrow from Naruto. "You know those people." Naruto glanced at his sister as the two people and talking Meowth began introducing themselves. "Yeah, it's Team Rocket," Ashley said before blinking in confusion and looking at her brother. "Are you telling me you don't remember them?" "Should I?" Everyone, even Team Rocket, gave him a deadpan look. "They're the ones tried to take Pikachu back in Viridian City." Naruto stared blankly at his sister. "The ones who tried to steal the Moltres Flames at the Pokémon League." Again Naruto gave her a blank look. "The ones who destroyed Erika's gym." Naruto's eyes narrowed at that. "Oh yeah, them." A powerful dark aura began leaking out of Naruto as he turned his eyes, which were glowing blood red, onto the Team Rocket balloon, causing the three to freeze. "Alright girls, everyone aim at that balloon and use Hyper Beam." Without needing to be told twice, all of Naruto's Pokémon turned towards the balloon before unleashing a devastating barrage of Hyper Beams, destroying the balloon and sending the three idiots flying. "You know, that might have been a little overboard." Naruto chuckled sheepishly at Mewtwo, who was standing next to him. "Of course, they're not the only guest here to crash the party." Curious as to what she meant, Naruto looked around before he saw Lance, the leader of the Kanto and Johto Elite Four, headed straight for him. "Yo Lance, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked, drawing everyone's attention to the leader of the Kanto and Johto Elite Four. "I came to congratulate you on winning the Pokémon League," the dragon trainer said with a small smirk. I'm also here to give you this. He handed Naruto an envelope with the League seal on it. These are the days that you will be allowed to battle the Elite Four. Since all of us, you included, are busy, we got together and chose dates that we would be free to battle you at the Pokémon League arena, that way the battles can be televised. Opening the letter, Naruto glanced at the dates before smirking. Each battle was a week apart, which would give him a week to choose his team for each battle, time he would use wisely, since he knew the Elite Four were no pushovers. Thanks Lance, I'll be ready, and you better be ready to hand over that title once I reach you. The Dragon Master smirked at Naruto's confidence, which he knew wasn't misplaced. I look forward to our battle, just try not to lose. Lance smirked as he turned to leave, nodding his head towards Claire, who was holding Mito, who was teething on a Pokeball. So, do you know who you're going to pick for your fight against Lorelei? Claire asked as she placed a sleeping Mito in her crib. No, I'm going to talk to all of my Pokemon in the morning and ask them what they want to do, Naruto said as he leaned against the door to Mito's room, watching as Claire tucked their daughter into bed. Well, maybe some sleep will help you, Claire said with a seductive smirk as she walked over and kissed him. Are you offering? Naruto asked, wrapping his arms around the dragon trainer and pulling her close to him. I might be, seeing as I'm the only one here, she smirked, breaking away from him and heading towards their room, a small sway in her hips that Naruto followed very closely. She was right, of course. After the party, Ashley had passed out from having too much fun and Delia had passed out along with Kura and Kushina from drinking too much, while Skyla and Gardenia had left early in order to get back to their gyms, leaving Claire, who was still on leave from her gym. I don't think I'll be getting any sleep tonight, Naruto chuckled as he turned off the lights to Mito's room and gently closed the door before following after the dragon mistress. Yeah, I'm not getting any sleep tonight, Naruto smirked as he entered his room to find Claire lying on the bed in only a pair of black lacy panties. No you're not, she said as he closed the door and stripped down to his boxers before moving over and kissing her. Lemon. As the kiss heated up, Naruto pushed her onto her back, gently massaging her censored. You know, I didn't think we'd get to making Mito a sibling this soon, since we just found out Erika and Elisa were pregnant, Naruto said, rolling the hardening nipple of her right censored between his finger while trailing kisses down towards her left censored. Well, I can't have Erika or Elisa beating me now, can I? Claire moaned as Naruto began swirling his tongue around her nipple before gently biting down on it. Besides, I figured Mito would like a sibling that's full-blood related instead of just half, she moaned as Naruto's hand moved to remove the last piece of clothing she was wearing. I can understand that, though in the end, they are all still my children, Naruto smirked as he moved down towards her lower lips, which were already soaked. With a small smirk, Naruto began licking the juices from her, causing her to gasp in pleasure before her back arched in surprise as Naruto's fingers entered her and began stroking the inside of her. Man, you really are more sensitive since you had Mito, Naruto chuckled a little, before moaning a little as Claire reached down and grabbed his hardening friend, before she began to stroke him. It seems your little friend here is finally awake, she said, moving her body around until she was right in front of Naruto's member. And he really seems happy to see me, she smirked before she kissing the head, her mouth slowly encasing it as she began to bob her head back and forward. Oh man, Claire, your mouth feels so good, I think I'm about to come, Naruto said before releasing his load down her throat. You've been going overboard on the ramen again, haven't you? Claire asked with a small glare as she pulled Naruto out of her mouth, licking her lips. Only a few bowls, not like one did when I was younger, Claire rolled her eyes, knowing he was lying, though she'd be lying if she said she didn't like the taste. Though it's nothing compared to your taste, he said, moving around to capture her lips while lining up with her. Oh, you've gotten bigger since the last time, Claire said as Naruto began moving, slowly picking up speed. Well, you seem to have gotten tighter since you had Mito, Naruto grunted before Claire pulled him into a deep kiss. Claire, I'm about to come again. Then come. Let's give Mito a sibling, Claire panted as Naruto released his second load inside of her. Well, that was fun, Naruto said as he pulled out of Claire, allowing her to turn onto her stomach, giving Naruto a good view of her ass. Though I hope you aren't tiered yet, we still have one more hole to go, he said, grabbing her waist and pulling her ass up, causing her eyes to widen. Naruto, You aren't planning on using. She stopped and let out a silent scream as Naruto plunged deep into her second hole. Man, this one's tight. I wonder why we've never tried it before. He asked as Claire fell onto the bed, her eyes rolling into the back of her head as she passed out from the pleasure. So your weak spot is your ass. Got to remember that from now on, he grunted before releasing his third load into Claire's stomach. Pulling out of her, Naruto smiled as he tucked Claire into bed before turning off the lights. Lemon end. So you're really going to send Ashley to get the GS ball? Naruto asked as stood next to Professor Oak the next morning, Mito eating a bottle in his arms, as he looked at the schematics of the Pokeball in question, which were shown on Oak's computer. Yes, since you'll be busy battling the Elite Four, I figured asking her to do this for me would be good for her, Oak smirked, getting a nod from Naruto. You do realize that once she finds out about the Orange League, she's going to attempt that? Oak nodded. He knew Ashley would attempt to challenge the Orange League competition, just like Naruto did during the 3 months before the Indigo League. Yes, though I think it will be good for her. It will give her a chance to train and bond more with her Pokemon if she goes for the Orange League. Naruto shook his head. His sister was so easy to manipulate that he sometimes wondered what would happen to her if she didn't have a voice of reason like Brock and Misty traveling with her. Well then, I'll leave you to tell her. Me and Mito need to go choose our team for outbattle with Lorelei. Naruto turned and began walking towards the yard where all the Pokemon were kept. You're going to take Mito with you to your battles against the Elite Four? Oak asked, surprised. He knew that the Elite Four were no pushovers, so he couldn't figure out why Naruto would take her onto a battlefield like that. Yeah, Claire said it was alright. Besides, it makes her happy when she's watching the battle up close. Isn't that right, Mito? Mito gave her dad a wide grin, despite the bottle still in her mouth. Besides, it's not like Lorelei doesn't like to see little Mito as well. Well then, I won't stop you, and good luck in your first battle. Naruto nodded his thanks before leaving the room. He had a battle to plan for. Thanks.